Ladies, gentlemen, and Paladins fans all over the world, welcome back to the Paladins Premier League. To start off the day, I am Dulcet on the desk. Alongside me is Gore Miser. And Gore, we got some exciting matchups to look into today. How you feeling about it?
I'm feeling really good. This is actually one of the weeks that when I first looked at it, like last week, right? We're putting in predictions for Esports Weekly, trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like, this is going to be really lopsided. And then as days wore on with me, I was like, it isn't. Like, this is not like, I was like, it's going to be NIP, then it's going to be Na'Vi, and then like nobody has to worry. Like, this is going to be a very simple week. And then I thought about what we've seen out of the last couple of the other teams, right? Where we've seen specifically Virtus.Pro and Kanga be.
Right.
And I don't know what to expect out of them. I think this is going to be completely wild card. I have no clue who's coming out on top today.
And we'll get a look in the standings here in a second. But one thing I kind of noticed looking into some of these matchups today is a lot of these teams, specifically Virtus.Pro, Na'Vi, and NIP, they're the three teams that have kind of really been catching our eyes, some of the top teams in the league, and now they get to kind of test their mettle against one another this week, and I think we'll be able to kind of see some of that flesh itself out.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like this is one of those weeks, very specifically, where, like, you know, like I want to say Kanga, based on what we were talking about yesterday, what everyone's kind of thinking, and based on the standings, you know, they're the one team everyone I think is going to underestimate. I think they're the wild card this week. I think they have a lot of opportunity because they very silently improved from week 1 to week 2. And I feel like weeks 2 to 5 now, they're going to have been doing nothing but getting better.
Right. Well, looking forward to our first matchup of the day. We have NIP versus Virtus.Pro. And looking at the NIP side of things, the last time we were able to see them play, I think they surprised a lot of us in the sense that we knew they were good, but the way they took down Envy, the way they played their matches the last time we saw them go, Gore, was I think, surprising to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And potentially seeding themselves as, I mean, standings-wise, they are the top team, but potentially like really being the top team in this league.
And the biggest thing I think they have going for them is just the entire lineup overall. Bird has been very cognizant. He's always been known as a player who can kind of think, I mean, at an elevated level in Paladins. He's thinking 3 steps ahead of everybody else, and that's something that has always been a big boon to them. But the other thing that comes into it isn't very much Bittner. The fact that Bittner has been regarded as one of the best players in the world regularly, especially when it comes to LAN performance. So being able to have him come in and the flexibility that he's brought, the pit play specifically that he's brought as well, it's just blown people away.
And I think that's kind of an underestimated thing, the huge pit play here that really sealed this game against the Renegades for them. But you said it pretty well in that the flexibility. You saw him a bunch of clips there on the Shaolin, and then suddenly he's playing the Pip. I mean, the fact that he can make such an impact on so many different champions is kind of an understatement that, you know, it makes teams uncomfortable. Not only is he good, but he can make you uncomfortable immediately in picks and bans. Alex as well, another guy you have to look at in this roster, another difference maker on the NIP side.
I mean, you were just talking about flexibility, and I can't think of anything better than to say that the last time we watched him play, he played 4 champions in 4 games.
Yep.
Went from what? It was Barrack, Eevee, Drogoz, Leon. Those were the 4 champions. Not in that order, but he made every single one of them look good. That's something that, again, when we saw Alex on Mouse Sports last split, it was kind of like, is this really the guy? Like, is this the guy that you really want to put everything on? Like, you're pulling him in. Is he good enough to fit into NIP? And if that on its own wasn't enough to answer yes, just in the last set they played, then just look at him all around. Again, tons of flexibility for him, a brilliant amount of aim as well. Like, this guy has proven himself to be a huge threat on literally any champion they happen to put him on.
A flex in the truest sense of the word. You see a Cassie play here. You saw a Zen play a second ago. He also played Barrack, as you said. I mean, when it comes to flexing on a different champion, Alex is one of the best. Luckily, his Paladin skills are a little bit better than the sound listening skills that we saw in the pregame clips here. Nick didn't want to flame him.
He doesn't know what the sounds are.
He just knows how to use
but
the
he
abilities
can use the
of the
abilities
sounds.
just fine.
Well, we look at their matchup against VP today. What do you expect to see? Some more of the same? Do you expect them to have a pretty good day today?
Yeah, no, I expect Virtus.Pro is going to be able to kind of knock them down a little bit. I don't think it's going to be very clean like what we saw last time, but I mean, NIP were able to make top teams look the fool. They were able to come in at 4-0 like it was nothing. NIP right now, I think, are going to be the toughest team to beat. And I think it's because most of the time you look at a team and you're like, okay, they have stellar DPS and good front line, good support. This is like, well, they have some of the best supports one of the best supports in the league.
True.
2 of the best DPS in the league, and 2 of the best front lines in the league. Like, no matter what, you are going up against players that are at that high tier, so it's just very difficult to overcome them. But I think because of that actually gives me a little more hope for Virtus.Pro, because that seems to be exactly what their story has been.
And I think you mentioned it, the frontline play, Diggy Dog and Bonker, 2 of the guys we didn't highlight initially, but both of them making almost as much of an impact in a lot of those games as Bittner and Alex did. We talked to Diggy in the pregame interview before their last few games, and he was a man of few words, but coming out of that game, sitting down with him in the postgame interview, you can tell they're really feeling good. They're really liking their chances here. I think Bittner said, all right, we plan to be a top 1 through 3 team in this league, and they've shown that they can do that. They've certainly shown that they belong here. We've heard his thoughts in past weeks, but we do have an interview with Bird standing by to hear how they're feeling before this game.
All right, well, we are down on the floor here with Bird and NIP. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing good. We're ready.
Well, I think it's been the topic on everyone's minds. You guys kind of came out blazing, and you have this, undefeated pass so far in the PPL laid before you. Obviously, you want to continue that. Why do you think you guys have jumped out to such immediate success?
I don't know. I think people underestimated us a lot going in. We didn't have the best year last year, but with the changes that we have, I don't know. I think we're kind of the team to beat right now.
What do you think is just really been the catalyst for it? I mean, obviously underestimated, you mentioned that, but is it something about the meta? You guys mentioned a lot of kind of understanding what it's about and really having it fit well for your team.
I think it's a mix of things. I mean, we have, I think at least, the best roster. We have very experienced players. We have some newer with Alex, and we just have a mix of kind of everything we want. And then on top of that, we have some of the best drafters from all the previous teams on our team. So
that flexibility to be able to bring it started with Diggy, but now bringing in Alex, having that mechanical prowess on every single member of your team has given you guys a lot of flexibility. But the question is, what's up with this triple tank? You guys seem to be the ones kind of pushing this. Fans love it. They hate it. You guys seem to have consistently gone back to it. Why now?
It's just something that when people don't expect it, it's really easy to get under their skin early in the set, especially. So it's just something we like to have fun with.
Well, obviously, another huge question as we get ready to go into these games here is are you guys seeing Avengers tonight?
I mean, if we win, yeah.
If you win, Diggy's saying yeah, absolutely. So we'll send it back to the desk before we catch it with Virtus.Pro. This is Bird and IP.
It's a spoiler-free stream here. Don't worry.
I'm about to have to avoid the players tomorrow. I don't get to see it till tomorrow night. I think you're in the same boat.
It's a 3-hour movie, so help whoever goes to see it tonight because they're going to be absolutely exhausted
tomorrow.
into the day
NIP
tomorrow.
lose their games tomorrow, we know it's because they went to see in-game tonight.
Right. Well, we'll be able to tell poofy eyes, maybe some tears, depending on how that movie goes. But looking at the opposite side of this matchup, you have Virtus.Pro, who, again, similarly to NIP, they've suffered a loss, unlike NIP, but they came out and surprised a lot of people with how well they were playing. I think they have a pretty star-studded lineup, made some switches in the offseason, and I think they're a lineup that will look to continue on their success.
And this was one of the things, and I still stand by this, because it's them and Kanga, really, that have the most international spread on their teams, and I think both of them, because of that, have a lot of viewpoints that maybe other teams don't have. Like Bird just said, we have some of the best drafters that we have seen pretty much across Paladins all on one team. Like we know what we can do in terms of drafting for teams, but then you have Hecate coming from Latin America. You have Fish Echo being able to come from Europe. And, of course, a lot of North American boys on this team as well. And Pule Ule coming into this has been incredible for them so far. As just a sub, the way they've been playing has been very, very incredible. And the way they've grown, again, from week 1 to when we last saw them to what I expect to see today, it's just been insane.
And you know who I love to look at, Gore, is Vex on this lineup. One of the best supports in this league and the best who is that sound game player for us? What's the title of that thing?
I've just heard Nick calling it Hoodat.
Hoodat, that's right, it's Hoodat. But Vex, one of the cornerstones of this team, the beautiful Genos play that we saw the last time he was able to come out here and play. One of the most knowledgeable players, I think, in this game. He loves the game, he loves his position, he loves his teammates, and I think it really shows in game. And the last time they played, they were going against the Renegades. But he was a big reason they found a lot of success, I think.
and these highlights I think are a perfect example of what I want to say for supports, and specifically for Vex, but really just any of the supports you see on the top teams. And that's that the healing numbers are only going to be so much, right? Like anybody can kind of do the healing.
Right.
Obviously, you're going to do it better. The mechanics, the aim, all of that stuff is going to play into it. But it's the impact outside of the healing as on top of that. Like if you're getting an average healing here of about 140,000 a game, and then you're also getting double kills like that, like that is what makes you a stellar support. That is what can bring your team from average to the #1 to #2, right? That is what can make you climb the ranks. And having someone like that in Vex, having like the backup that they has in the front lines, like being able to keep everyone going, and the mentality that Vex has about the game. I think that is what is making this team as successful as they can be.
I absolutely agree. I mean, top to bottom, this is a star-studded lineup, and having someone like Vex able to kind of corral everyone in, kind of push the lineup forward is really good and really important to their team. Pacheco, one of the main players in that star-studded lineup, one of the best Bomb Kings, if not the best Bomb Kings that we've seen. You expect this guy to do big things, Score.
Yeah, honestly, Pacheco is one of those really weird areas. Him and Bittner were in this really weird area where, admittedly, every LAN performance they've had has been really well, except for a couple, right? They've had a couple of moments where it's been like, man, that was lackluster, but then you have to look back and be like, well, was it lackluster in general, or was it lackluster compared to the fact that they're normally doing plays like that? Like, it's one of those things that he is awesome on LAN. He is, again, pretty flexible, plays a lot of blasters, so you're going to be looking maybe for the Bomb Kings, the EVs to come around on this one, but he has Shaolin. He has other things in his pocket, and again, that kind of flexibility opens up many doors for Virtus.Pro.
And I think that's going to be an interesting thing to look at today, in that we had a lot of flexibility on the side of NIP. We saw Bittner and Alex playing so many different things, but you also have that on the side of Virtus.Pro. You have people who can play so many different champions. you can't really put your finger on what they're feeling. And I think that's going to be kind of the interesting thing to look into today. Which team potentially flexes onto some of the weirder things?
Yeah, I actually think that this is going to come down to Vex and Spuds kind of versus Bird, right? Like, and their drafting. Like, who can draft better is really just going to be the name of the game. This is going to be, I think, more mental than anything. And then we're going to see how it translates mechanically, but that very first pick is going to make such a big difference.
Absolutely, I agree. We saw how they were looking in a lot of those highlight reels, but how are they feeling? We have an interview with Spuds standing by.
All right, we're down here with Virtus.Pro and their coach, the Spuds, or Tyler. Either way, he says either are fine. Either are fine. So, big matchup today, going against the undefeated seed NIP, obviously first in the PPL right now. How is the energy in the room going into the matchup?
The energy's fine. They have first, we want first, so it should be fun.
You know, one of the things that's interesting is you could really almost look at that first matchup against Pittsburgh, a very interesting, emotional, and almost untested dynamic first game of the PPL. Since then, you guys have looked like a completely different roster. What's changed, and why do you think that is suddenly come together?
The first thing is just getting to know each other better. The second thing is just being in Atlanta, scrimming every day, LAN. There's a lot of like ping issues, stuff like that. So that was the biggest thing. Just being more comfortable with each other. That's
NIP obviously have been doing a lot of things that have caught people off guard, triple tank, things like that. How do you plan to address those things if they do bring them up, and what have you taken away from what's made NIP successful thus far?
Can't really worry about what they're doing. We just play our game, honestly. We come in with our drafts, we come in with our style, and just see who's better.
All right, unstoppable force versus an immovable object. We'll see who takes the W today. About to start the matchup. That was Virtus.Pro.
I think this is so interesting, Gore, and I love this. I love where the PPL is at the moment, because you have like 5 different teams. Of course, everyone wants first, but there's like 4 or 5 teams all blocked off at the top right now, where they're all saying, yeah, we could be the top team in the world right now. We absolutely could be. And Virtus.Pro, the coach saying it right there. He's like, they got first place. We want it. And you know they're going to bring it today.
And that is the thing, is I think everyone in the league right now is hungry for those top spots. Like it's one of those things, like for some of them it's not even do we want to get first, it's just we just got to beat those guys. Like they beat us this first week. We got to beat them now. We have to be able to prove ourselves that we're better than them. And not just for themselves, but for their fans as well. For a lot of people, it's going to be making a big difference. Virtus.Pro is probably one of the hungriest teams that I've seen, which I think makes their logo very accurate for them, because they are constantly looking to get better.
Well, Frog Isle's where we're headed. for map number 1. NIP bringing out the fast-paced map to start things off here. Kinessa's going to immediately go off the board, which is interesting, Gore. So that kind of opens up the question on do you first pick the Strix, which would, I think, be kind of an interesting strategy. I don't know if that would work out very well, but that it overvalues now the Strix. You only have one true sniper champion left in this matchup. The Makoa goes out as well. Is the con. So now you look at, all right, who gets the EV if that's the direction they want to go? Who gets the Strix if that's where they want to go as well? NIP is going to get the first pick. They're going to take the Ashe. So now I think Virtus.Pro have a chance here to set the tone for their draft. If they want to go frontline, maybe pick up the EV to kind of block out the Strix on the opposite side. We've seen snipers play very well into EV. Traditionally, we say that's sort of a tough matchup for snipers. But I think we've kind of seen that script get flipped a little bit, and a really good sniper can truly hold their own against EVs, I think.
And honestly, and I'm remembering correctly, because I was going to say if I'm remembering correctly, but it was Bittner on Strix.
Yep.
Yeah, that is just one of the most ridiculous performances that you could probably see. And it's those moments where everything you know essentially about the game, like when it comes down to, okay, this beats this on paper in that void,
right,
you just throw that out the window. Like, it does not matter at that point anymore. So you're going to have to do a little bit more, I think, in kind of calculating. I think that's why VP grab up the Strix. They've seen how well that can do. And now if they want to go EV later, they don't have to worry about Bittner plugging them down with his Strix as well.
Right. So what do you look at now on the side of NIP? I mean, is the Leon the one that kind of fills that void? I mean, the Cassie's still around. We saw Cassie actually pretty highly valued, got banned out a good bit last week. So the Cassie's still around, the Leanne's still around. Barrack is going to be pick number 2 here for NIP, so some frontline presence coming in here for them, getting 2 of the higher priority front lines. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, you get the high priority healer and Strix as well, and the Drogos is going to be the pick here.
So I think this is 2 things that are going great for NIP. First off, they get 2 front lines that are phenomenal on Frog Isle. Barrett can dance around the point. He has the pillars to dance around, places turrets, uses shield. Like, his point fight is going to be stellar for this. Ashe is very dominant. She can lock down someone like a Strix, keep him in the window to stop you from getting aggressive. And if that's happening, Drogos has free reign. And even when that's not happening, we've seen how Alex can play Drogos on this map and how he doesn't really care if you have a counter for him. Like, he's just going to play around you and maybe even target you out. His aim, as well as maybe using Combustible or at least the Dragon Spit, like, it does like so much damage, and it brings him a lot of control.
I know we like the Inara on Frog Isle. I mean, she is sort of the highest tier point tank for a reason. How do you feel about the Fernando on a map? Like, I mean, is that kind of, well, we need a tank, he's kind of the next best available that we see with the 4th tank pick here?
I actually think Fernando's good on this map because when it comes down to it, there's 2 fights that are going on, right? There's the point fight, and then there's the ramp fight. Fernando allows you to get a little bit more aggressive. Depending on who they grab for their last pick here for Virtus.Pro, they can go up with Fernando onto that ramp and put a little more pressure onto, say, the Grover, the Maldamba, and the Drogos.
What an interesting lineup here for NIP. So break down a little bit what you see on the NIP side. I mean, you get Grover, Damba.
I think
the top 3 are normal. What are the last 2?
I'm going to come out and say I think this is going to either this is going to be Ferocity Grover, which means we're going to get damage because again, sniper shots. That's part of the reason Ferocity was really big in the first place. So he can go those long range battles with Strix. Or we're going to see Stun Machine Maldamba, which is going to be, I'm not focused as much on healing you guys. I'm just going to stun as much as I physically can to make sure they have no impact.
Well, Gort, we talked about the NIP lineup having the potential to flex onto some weird stuff. And they are really flexing onto some weird stuff to start off here. I mean, we don't really know. I mean, it's really either of the healers could be sort of the damage dealer in this case.
And because of that, it's going to cause a lot more trouble, I think, for Virtus.Pro, because what do you build against? How do you prepare to go in against what could be a Ferocity Grover?
Yeah, well, we have no idea. You've seen our face enough. Let's send it down to the casters and take a look at them.
Thanks, guys. Rain Day Pretty Air here to get started in Game 1 of Day 1 of this week for the PPL. Pretty interesting switch up for those last 2 picks, though, Nick. The Grover, I mean, I'm thinking this is a Tenor Grover in some fashion, and he's got something up his sleeve.
Yeah, likely. Ferocity's the likely choice. I can't go without saying I'd rather see the Deep Roots into the Wakono's Curse, though. I think that'd be some real meme level stuff here.
Well, we'll see what transpires as we get into Game 1 for this essential matchup for first place. These 2 teams are about the hottest ticket in all of Paladins right now. NIP undefeated, Virtus.Pro trying to take that #1 spot by sitting him down a peg, and it's going to be Bittner, like we mentioned, on the Ferocity Grover. probably worth taking a look at his build, seeing if he's running anything differently on that Grover as of now. And pretty standard stuff there.
Yeah. Almost a perfectly balanced loadout, like almost basic loadout level of balance here. Only one extra point there in the damage reduction right after he blossoms, which is his heal ability, which you just saw him do. A little bit of extra health, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yep.
So just yaks down Fernando.
And this is a problem. This is something that did not happen before. Fishy finds the kill on the Diggy, and last week, notoriously, Diggy just was unstoppable on that Ashe, creating so much space. This time, not enough, because Pacheco finds the first blood.
The way this draft went, I'm almost wondering if NIP just didn't think that they would take Strix as early as they did. They would just completely forego a frontliner in their first wave of picks. We saw what Tenor was able to do with Strix last week on Frog Isle.
Wow. This
is Virtus.Pro, and they have a Kate.
Yeah, and absolutely one of the people you do not want to mess with on the sniper. We thought we might see Knessa Strix, Tenor, and Kate against one another, but that did not transpire. Virtus.Pro, the only sniper here, already off to a very early 1-0 lead.
Down there, though. Pacheco will feel the fury of the axe. Boule gets the shield up, and he might, just narrowly ducked that, and it's Bonker and Diggy Dog over the top, combining for a good couple of kills.
And they're going to fully wipe Virtus.Pro here, and they're going to back off as well, intentionally. And Diggy's, like we saw last week, just going into the back line so aggressively. And this is what the value is. 2 shots, and it's basically won the sniper duel. The other thing about it is he's got the cripple for the Eevee, and he's also got the heal or the self-peel if he does need it. There's something to this Grover pick, Nick. I'm just not sure how long it's going to last.
Yeah. Here comes the setup.
Not very long there.
Follow through. Vex slams the laser home.
And big stuff, I mean, coming through as well. But in the meantime, Diggy is still in the back line. I mean, he is really playing his own game here, and he is bullying out Vex as much as possible. It's going to be up to Virtus.Pro to try and get rid of this Ashe. Such a great job he's done switching onto this role.
Man, pretty crazy. They're able to just continue to stay this aggressive. Diggy's probably going to sustain here. I don't know where Bird is. Seems slithering away in the back line. Diggy's low, down, but not out just yet. Dosip will finally grab the kill. This defense is holding very strong. Remember, NIP are on defense right now. They are just completely pushing VP back into their base.
But Dosip finds the triple kill, and they did. It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't there, because they're so far in. They have to fight there, and they have to full commit. But now they've given up this essential choke, and I think because they have ults, they feel confident they can at least stop a push. But I don't know if they want to waste ults here on the mid corner, where going into the next round, there's not enough time to build them back up.
Big shots into the back line from Kate. No kills just yet, though. Opening things up, trying to soften up a couple targets for Pacheco, who's gone a little bit quiet here in the middle of this round.
Oh, these are big shots as well. Diggy's low. He's not going to ult. I don't think he's going to waste it there. Dosips picks up the kill, but Diggy picked up Pacheco beforehand, and now Alex able to finish off Dosips as well. So it looks like it will be a stalemate. The early sustain and pressure from NIP matching the damage from the sniper in Virtus.Pro.
And the way Tenor's built this Grover, he might just have enough HP straight up to be able to contest Kate. If they go shot for shot, Tenor will kill him in probably 3, whereas Tenor's going to need a little bit more with his damage reduction if he's getting a big juicy heal off. I mean, that is a lot of bonus HP that Kate is going to have to chew through. This is a very different fight with ultimates up, and I'm curious to see who gets very aggressive first. I do feel NIP do have the stronger suite of ultimates here. Boule is going to be asked a lot with this Immortal. He's going to have to survive really the, I think, brunt of the storm.
Yeah, and I think Diggy is going to go straight for Kate. I'm not sure if there's an answer because it doesn't have rapid mobility. The only way to maybe stop it is to try and get a Void Grip, maybe an Ice Storm preemptively. And Immortal is potentially something Boule is going to have to fall back to and use for his team. I imagine a shoulder bash here very, very soon. But Boule trying to put the pressure on, and I like this. It is a preemptive Ice Storm, but it just whiffs a little bit, so he's able to jump in and jump out.
Putting some good pressure. Now Boule's pinched in kind of a rough spot. Seismic Crash is going to come through, stunning, but Diggy Dog's still immune to damage and getting a ton of healing as well. Alex, low HP, sitting on a dragon.
But a good whirlwind, Nick, and that keeps at least Tenor alive. He's got plenty of damage, and Bonker's taking the high ground. Misses the Vine, although he's got 20%, and now he's into the Dome Shield. Fishy has to back off, but they actually already get enough damage to get rid of the turret, and that's going to be Bonker falling. This could be Tenor falling as well. It almost certainly will, and Diggy's going to go down for the second time in this fight.
Oh my goodness, now Kate's feeling feeling good enough to get aggressive. Akate finds 3, looks for another shot into the back line here. Long-range fire spit will connect, but onto no targets. 66% and climbing. Akate is just not being shut down.
Yeah, nice angles, though, from Alex to get out of that tight spot. 87%, though, Nick. It's not over, and here's the Dragon Punch. It's going to force someone back, but the Immortal has not been used, and it has been used now just to guarantee that there was no option for Alex. And Puyoli trades out big kill, and this is going to open some stuff up for Fisheko.
Ooh, stun right as he's wormholing back into the ice block to keep himself safe from Diggy Dog. As the NIP defense is going to be asked to hold once more. VP just, I don't know. It didn't really feel like they did anything too special on that defense. They used Immortal so late.
Yeah.
Ice Storm didn't really get any value. They just played the fight better.
I mean, and honestly, it was Puyoli, I think, who applied the pressure. Diggy Dog normally would just push into the back line by himself, but because Pule was applying so much pressure, it just set things up to continue the aggressiveness. Him and Fisheko have been dominant. Bird, you can tell, trying to just delay as much and contest and also die so he and his team can reset.
Yeah, Fish has done a really good job on these point fights as well. He went quiet in the middle part of the first round. Doing a pretty good job keeping momentum high. As long as he's playing off the space that Pule is creating, he should have a lot of room to work.
And right now, he has really been, I think, the key to getting Diggy Dog off this game. 977 pop. It's a ton of damage. Nice ice block there to immune the fire spit as well.
I like this angle.
And everyone really getting isolated away from Bonker, who is low, and he's using the rocket boots. They've got backup healing, though, but Bonker's still low, still isolated, and no one's on the payload.
That's a lot of cooldowns, though, Evan. I mean, that's both rocket boots, all the bowling ball shield. That's a lot of non-ultimate utility burn from Bonker.
And I think this is going to be it. I don't know how they can stall this. They do need a dome shield, and I don't think he's going to do it. 3-1, taking the comeback mechanic and the fast cap potential into their hands for the next round. NIP, oof, getting pressured here early by Virtus.Pro.
And you might say they're sitting back, you know, kind of taking it easy for the most part there on the defense. But I think it's because this Grover just hasn't had the pressure onto the Strix that they wanted.
Yeah.
If they did have the pressure that they wanted on the Strix, then they would be able to push out. They would be able to kind of do what they wanted, but they can't because this guy's waiting for them.
Yeah, it does seem to be one of the biggest issues here as far as it. Hear a little bit of how they're talking.
They have to go to you. Rubber spamming from spawn.
Great to get a little glimpse of what it sounded like in that booth. The communication from Vex, probably the one you heard the most. Kate just more lasered in.
Curse /line for Diggy Dog.
Trying to hit his shots. Yeah, Diggy Dog maybe having a game that we wouldn't like to repeat.
One.
Oh, big headshot.
I mean, that's all day, baby, for Akate. Dragon Punch will land.
Something did happen, though.
Vex is going to hit the pause here. I'm not sure what was going on with that. Alex feeling pretty good about finally connecting one of those. 16 streak for Vex, 9 for Fisheko, and Akate's, he was on like a 7 or an 8, but just ending there. They've had the better upper hand in the point fight. Grover's already pressured out. Bonker's received a headshot. This Dragon Punch might have been enough to turn things around, though.
Definitely. I mean, I think the early engagement, now that they have ultimates, now that they have pressure, now that they're with one fight going to be able to win this point, I mean, that's the right way to start it off. I think they also know, because of the last point, how fast it went, Fernando probably doesn't have his Immortal up. So that's the big key.
Yeah. That's a big thing that came out very late in that last defensive point fight here, but NIP off to the slow start here on Frog Isle. They've kind of been my team to watch because they've looked so good. They are at the top of the league right now, undefeated at 3-0, but Virtus.Pro, Kanga have been quickly climbing and improving, and two teams like that, you just have to sit and wait and see where it ends. Like, how good are they going to get before they start to level off?
Yeah.
That's what I'm really excited to watch this week.
And I mean, in many ways, Virtus.Pro has had such a difficult time in really trying to find a good measuring stick in this league, because they played Pittsburgh early. They lost, but that was so emotional. They didn't quite have everyone together, no time to practice. They showed up as a different team, but then they played Envy, who are on the downtrend. We don't know how far they've fallen in this meta, and if maybe Virtus.Pro is that much better or if it's not. I think the impact of really has Virtus.Pro stepped up to an even higher echelon than NIP is something we could witness today, especially now that they're just testing their might back and forth.
That's what's super cool about this league. Watching it just for the next, 2 weeks is still, unique matchups that you haven't seen yet. Right. And we are still kind of trying to figure out, oh, my God, who is really better than, X, Y, or Z? Who is going to sit at the top of this league after everyone has played everyone? Normally, over the course of the split, each team will play each other twice.
Right.
So you have to kind of look for that halfway point to say, okay, this is where we're sitting at about halfway through. But, teams continue to kind of get better and worse, ebb and flow as the game goes on.
Diggy Dog, big conversation for me because his play, his switch onto this role has been so instrumental to NIP's success, and I think it'd be undoubtedly the case if you were looking at it from the outside, and if you know what this team has had to do, if you know his history, you know that this is not his normal role. So one of the biggest things is, can he get pressured? Will he be pressured? He hasn't played against Sadak. He hasn't played against Puleole, and now these guys who are just veterans and grandmasters of the role in their own right, showing that there's something that may be testing his ability now to really play with the best of the best. I'm excited to see how this matchup goes. I think it'll be tense.
That off-tank, aggro-tank role has kind of been one of the more, I think, important ones of this season. We've had our DPS. I think everyone's got a solid blaster player. It's really a lot of these role swaps and these aggro tanks, which are floating closer to the first picks in these drafts that have been super important. So, a lot of eyes on Moonchopper, a lot of eyes on Phoenix, a lot of eyes on Diggy Dog, the guys that are just playing it kind of for the first time this season or looking to get back into it. In the case of Phoenix, who's been playing DPS now for 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And we've got Navi Kanga coming up as well. Vex finds a kill. Alex does go down, but he gets Dosif. So now he's going for Akate. Oh, man, don't you wish you had Illuminate? Whoa. Eventually, Bittner going to clean it up, though. He's just shooting to the right angle. And this is a good Immortal, but the Dome Shield's better. It blocks, and it saves everyone on the side of NIP. They're not fighting for long. They're just fighting to win quickly. And so far, they have done just that.
Could you imagine a timeline where an Eevee gets knocked off the map? The smallest little window where she doesn't have a cooldown
she
to
can
get
touch.
herself back on. It looks like he will. Fasheko playing with fire, though. Hung out for a little too long.
Try to do too much. It looks like they will get Diggy. And what's going to happen? If Akate can turn and find Alex, one shot might just do it. Who's going to get it? Oh, my God, Akate before he can explode. But NIP, they're going to capture it anyway. What a great exchange. Oh,
what an effort.
But it goes the way of Nip.
Jeez, my goodness. That's a dream right there. And to his credit, I'm pretty sure Alex played that almost like frame perfectly. Like, he was doing every little thing he could to make sure he was exposed for as little time as possible. Like, no-look rocket around the corner, went for the quick fire spit above, but Akate just hit everything.
Yeah, and, the sniper, the hit scan is going to get there before the projectile, and that's one of the benefits there. Fasheko, I think maybe, obviously, it wouldn't have happened unless he touched the point, but maybe could have blinked back a little earlier. Maybe got crippled, though. I actually didn't pay attention.
Maybe, for sure. Tenor was definitely still there, and he really hasn't been taking many risks. Fasheko has not been playing super recklessly, has been keeping it tight. If there's nothing there, there's nothing there. He will sit back and just sort of jump and go for a long mid-range shot behind Poulet. We've seen a lot of this, but when it is time to go, he hasn't exactly hesitated either.
And just one of the great things we're watching, the consistency with how much damage he's putting out without stopping. I mean, he's just got every single second he's shooting left, shooting right. Pressure, pressure, pressure. This Eevee from range is doing this, and that's one of the benefits. If you have a player this good at Eevee that she can be hitting these shots and pressuring from safety, from cover, it's a totally different ballgame.
Hitting some tough ones as well. Really going for it there, but just pushing him into an open spot where Akate can do the rest. Now, he was top damage at one point here, and for Fasheko to even be close to a Strix that hasn't had a flanker or anyone really getting in his face, that is impressive. Yeah. That's why that's so crazy.
Well, one of the things, too, is that, they drafted Diggy as the aggressive off-tank, and they're using him as a flanker. They're keeping that back line, but they're saying, we don't need an Eevee. We've got Nash who's going to do the exact same job and even better. Isolates Doses by pushing him towards his team and keeping him away from his teammates and the healer specifically, but Genossi just needs to throw that heal through walls, and there are plenty of them on Frog Isle. Still moving, though, for NIP. Something's got to give here, otherwise they're going to tie this up.
Yeah, this is looking grim right now. Sheko getting knocked away, in and out. A lot of sustain working with it.
Wow.
He's going to hit them both, but again, these hero plays, these hero moments from one member of VP aren't enough to succumb or to stop the entire pressure from the squad of NIP.
And, it's 8-8 and 8, I think, for Diggy. It's 6-6 and 10 now for Fasheko. And Virtus.Pro and NIP tied up, as many thought would be the case in many of the matches that will be played today between these two looking like first-place potential teams.
And, I mean, I'm considering NIP and Navi in about the same echelon right now. I'm considering VP and Kanga in about the same echelon right now. So if this is a good set, I think we're pretty sure that the next one's going to be a good one, too. 6-6 and 17 here for Tenor. A lot of assists to his name. That's the big question mark for me, though. Being out-damaged by Inara, I don't know if this is having the impact or if this is the way that they wanted this to go.
Yeah, and Nara is shooting a lot of targets that aren't easy to shoot at. Doseps, you got to give credit to the man because it's a Barrack, and they're trying to finish him off very quickly. There's nothing you can do. Vex sends the combo just to get the kill, and now looking for a knockoff. Can't quite hit it though, and it's not going to be enough for Puleole. He will find at least the kill there, and it's going to be another one. Tenor finds it, and that could just be the cripple. It is on cooldown. He might have hit it, so Eevee couldn't have gotten around the corner with the soar. Beautiful stuff, but Virtus.Pro still on the point.
That was a lot of value, man. That big rotation from Digidog, they were able to get both of those kills. That was very, very impactful a moment for NIP for sure.
Oh,
but
man.
Big headshots continue to land for Hecate. He's got to be the guy that gets him back in this fight.
Man, Biggie doesn't have the ult. That's the big thing. That's what just gives him that unlimited pressure. You got to give credit to Bonker, who rotates with another Dome Shield. That's been the most clutch team fight ultimate for NIP this round. And Hecate, he's going to go down. Diggy now able to heal back up and get to the back line. And this is trouble for Virtus.Pro, but they finally pick him up.
Take him down, and now moving forward, 69%. Sheko very, very far away, but Alex finds Doseps, and ultimates are starting to come up. They're about to have a Dragon Punch in another 10%.
That was close because then everyone knew the timing, Nick. Cripple could have came out, stun could have came out, but it was not enough to stop Sheko. He gets back towards safety, and it's just mono and the Dragon Punch coming in, trying to get involved. He hits one, so Fasheko backs off, but he gets the trade. Alex takes out Doseps, and that could have been enough.
I call that worth. Fasheko trying to get in on Tenor. One more shot, but two at the Vine is good. Up on the top rope, I think another heal went off. Tenor's just doing enough to stay alive and stall out Fasheko.
But Diggy cleans it up with 3, and it's NIP with the victory.
I love it. Clean stuff there. And I want to bring it back to what you said about the Teamfight Ultimate, the Dome Shield, the way they're using it, the way Diggy used it last time they were playing on Ice Mines is almost that plus more. Bonker threw it down and then left. He said, this is not for me. This is for these guys to, keep control of this area. I'm going to go back to where I was. They are really evolving the way Barrack is being used.
And the burst healing from the Grover as well to get Diggy back up in that moment, not just having them all down, but to be in the back line again. Incredible teamwork from NIP. That's why game 1 goes their way.
Incredible stuff. Incredible start here for NIP. They were down a pretty good bit there to start things off. It looks like Virtus.Pro had them figured out. It looked like the Grover wasn't quite going to work out for NIP. They end up kind of flipping it on its head. And
it was an interesting kind of bout because, and you could see it a couple times during that last fight, I think more impactful than most of the early game.
Yeah, I agree.
Where how hard Ferocity Grover can hit. I mean, it's going to be 600, 700 plus if you are hitting at the right angle, if you're in the right area. But honestly, I want to say NIP's saving grace for the most part was really Digidog. Like, it was one of those moments that Bonker, Alex, Bittner, they were doing a lot, and you can actually see Bonker putting out the most damage. But I think Diggy was just controlling and corralling Virtus.Pro. Like, in the beginning, Virtus.Pro get themselves ahead. They start looking really good. Digidog's really kind of the wall that they needed to leap over to get their lead.
Sure. No, I absolutely agree with that. Hats off to Doe as well. He matched the damage from the Grover on the Inara as well. But yeah, the guy you were talking about, Digidog, on this Ashe, just making his presence felt time and time again. Double kills, triple kills here in this case. And towards the end of the game, it wasn't even so much the kills and the damage, it was just zoning. He had such a presence in that he was able to get Virtus.Pro on the back foot. He was able to zone out 2 or 3 members of the opposite team and gave his team the presence that they needed. Was it, in your eyes, was the Grover, I mean, I know we talk about Digidog being the big difference maker. Yeah. Was the Grover enough to potentially make Virtus.Pro uncomfortable? I mean, that went 4-3, so Virtus.Pro was in the game the whole time. Is the difference maker just Diggy making big plays to you?
I think, especially based on the last footage of Frog Isle that NIP have, you're looking at, we're taking the Strix away so that Bittner can't get in our face and be aggressive, but he can still, maybe he can still snipe, right? The Canessa was banned out, so he goes for the only other way to get a sniper in the game that's not Leon. It's just, we're going to go Ferocity Grover. Can't get as aggressive, can't get as in your face as we saw like Hecate doing, or the last time they played here, Bittner doing. But I feel like it was because of that almost unseen damage for Virtus.Pro. Like, you're in the middle of this fight, and Grover's just sitting over there in window hurling axes at you. And the only time you notice it is when all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I'm crippled again. Like, I can't get out of this fight. I can't run away. And so there are moments where I think more than anything probably Eevee found it on, Fasheko. He probably felt Grover's impact the most. But I think it was not necessarily unseen, but like at the beginning it was unheard. And then finally it was just hidden damage.
He kind of felt that out. He kind of played into the game, found his footing a little bit, and made a big difference there towards the end. On the side of Virtus.Pro, though, you have to look at Hecate as kind of one of the shining lights in that round on the Strix, just plugging away at the members of NIP, making his presence felt as well, showing that, you know, we're not going to go down without a fight here. But I think this is probably what we expected coming into this game.
Yeah.
NIP just slightly ahead, maybe literally by 1 point on this map. But both of these teams are so close. I will put my name out there. I think Virtus.Pro will take a map or two in this set here today. And honestly, I can't really predict which way it's going to go.
I need to see how close it's going to go when NIP don't have Grover Moldova.
Sure.
Right? I want to see if you put Bittner on something that Bittner is known for playing
That's
on
true.
a map that they're maybe even just comfortable on. Frog Isle obviously is one they're good with. But even on any of the other maps, if you can get Bittner somewhere where he's going to be very comfortable and not on something like a Grover where it's like, yes, you might be able to do some good damage, but you're still a support. You're still healing. You're still looking at that aspect of your play style. I want to know if they can handle that, because this was a 4-3.
That's
it was
true,
long
actually,
and grueling,
yeah.
and that was with Bittner not necessarily having no impact, but for the first two, I want to say 2 points of the game,
Yeah.
kind of being negligible in terms of his damage.
That's actually a really fair point when you bring it up that way. I mean, in this case, we talked about their flexibility and their ability to play so many different things. In this case, it almost hindered them right off the bat. I mean, we saw when they started to feel more comfortable how good NIP looked down the stretch. But yeah, potentially a little too flexible to start things off here. And that's going to be the question. When NIP are all on more comfortable picks in a more straightforward lineup, how does Virtus.Pro look in that case? Ascension Peak is where we're headed for map number 2. Virtus.Pro taking us here, pick number 2. The Cassie's going to go off the board immediately. And Gore, what are some typical picks? What are some things that you look for maybe from either side here on Ascension Peak?
Honestly, this is one, in my eyes, I'm looking towards the Blasters again. Is Drogoz going to come through for
Right.
either of these teams? Are you going to be willing to pull out a sniper? Leon and Cassie have been very big, but like you said, Cassie's been banned out, so I feel like this is Virtus.Pro kind of driving themselves more towards a Leon pickup for Hecate. But then you have to look at where's Drogoz, where's Eevee. Are those two going to play a role? We've seen them be big on this map, but they're not necessarily the go-to. You know?
Sure. Well, Diggy Dog is going to get the Ashe back,
You bring war
as well as the Genos now on the side of NIP. The Khan goes off the board as well, first off, which is a great pickup here for Virtus.Pro, especially on Ascension Peak. Plenty of overpower locations for the Khan ultimate, so I like that, and especially as well with the way the point is kind of set up. It's a bigger point, but you can kind of get up close and personal on the Khan. Lots of potential for commander's grabs, and the Inara as well would be a great pickup here for Virtus.Pro. Their frontline priority. There's the Leon, except. Oh no, you called it for Virtus.Pro, so they are going to get the Leon onto their side. So Hecate making a big impact in a losing game on the Strix. Will look to kind of flip the script and make an even bigger impact here, hopefully on a winning side for Virtus.Pro.
And I mean, they've got the two members of House Ico working together here, right? Leon does a ton of damage, and when you set it up with Khan, like, it's just a lot easier, and I think that's going to be the pairing you see. It's Kate and Puleole working together there. Dosup's more than likely taking on the Inara to fight on the point, whereas, presumably, Diggy Dog on the Ashe. Genos definitely going to be going towards Bird.
After a few good
And
lashes,
you get
you'll all
Grok,
see
who's going
it
to
my
be
way.
tons of damage. Not something I'm used to seeing on Ascension Peak, I'm going to be honest, but he does still do tons of damage. And the Bomb King, which is just as good for NIP to not only play, as it is good to get away from Fisheko.
Right. Big conversations going on in the Virtus.Pro booth now. You can see Vex really trying to talk his team through it. The Drogoz is going to come out. It's a good pickup there for Fisheko, and the Androxus as well. Gore.
Yeah.
We keep thinking that NIP can't surprise us, but yet again, another interesting lineup coming out on their side. What do you see over there?
Well, I want to see what happens if we could roll back to week 1 and ask everybody who is every coach in the Premier League, every player, and anybody who watches, what were the odds that you were going to see Grok and Androxus on the same team at any point in the split? I think everyone would say 0. So that's already just a big plus to NIP. What do you do with these champions together? Grok shock pulses can get up in the air and hit Drogoz. Androxus is literally the natural predator to taking care of a Drogoz. So even though Virtus.Pro kind of locked that in, thinking we have Leon, they don't have any hit scan, we can like keep this safer. They have Genos, so overall not too much that can come back and chase us down. Then that immediately bites them back.
Well, We're about to get into game number 2 here, NIP with another interesting lineup for them, but potentially that just means they're out ahead. They figured out the meta. They're the only undefeated team left here in the PPL as we head into Ascension Peak. Let's send it down to the casters to get it started.
Well, talking with Bird earlier, it seemed like they just understood that they like to play what works for them, and they seem to be setting the pace here and being very true to their word.
We like to play what we like to play, and it's a solo frontline triple DPS here coming out. Diggy Dog's Bomb King. Might be the only time we get
that would be him.
Yeah, it's the only time we get to see it maybe this season, but I am so down. I mean, this league has been so competitive, so much fun to watch, and the drafts are only getting spicier as the weeks go by.
Pretty incredible stuff. A wonky triple DPS. I mean, you just didn't expect it with Grok as an off healer, off DPS. It seems like that is something that NIP at least are staying consistent with. The double healer, double support in some form or fashion. Tenor doing quite a bit of damage. Grok did find himself quite a bit of excess damage over the last few seasons, even in the lightning staff. So there's some credence to this.
There it is. He's got the best skin, or at least the best staff objectively. I think the Chieftain skin's pretty dope. A little 360 spin. Tenor is feeling good. He's playing the Spice recently, though. He's playing the Grover, a little bit of that Grok action.
Yeah.
That's one shock pulse, did about 1,000 damage to Pacheco up in the air.
You know, why not? I mean, Grok definitely, when he's got pressure, is one of the best champions in the game. I don't know if anyone can stop him, but when he doesn't, that's going to be the key. NIP, though, don't try to make that happen very often. Really good wall, and this is going to allow for at least some healing. Dosum's maybe to touch back in, but the temp has been charged up. Should all but secure the first point going their way.
Certainly. What if Shock Pulse could bounce off of and through a Narwhal? How busted would that be?
Wow, yeah, that
would be so crazy. You literally couldn't miss. Tough, bro. Big backboard. Oh, man, I was just thinking about that as Dosum threw it up, trying to keep himself safe. What feels like probably the first kill falling the way of Virtus.Pro. Alex will die. Kate misses that presence there. A little bit of a Beef Castle duel going down, but Bonker will fall as well.
What's great about this game is you're going to see the mental adjustments and potential of Virtus.Pro here on display, because NIP have gone off to the races. This is something you have to react to. This is something you don't have in your playbook. There's no way you know what to do against a comp like this. You're just trying to improvise, and that improvisation is going to be the difference maker with whether they win or lose. Alex finding a cheeky angle there and actually staying alive despite the pressure from Akate on the low ground. He's going to make it out, indeed.
Playing a little Cursed Revolver as well. We've seen one Defiant Fist and a couple of Godslayers, but Cursed Cylinder has not been the choice for anyone so far, and it's a very, albeit small, sample size of Andro players out there at the moment. Mutu is in the house this week, for those of you that may not have heard, so Na'Vi will have their full roster. One of the more famous Andro players arriving as well.
And really hitting the gas pedal there. Not a great target as in the front lines. And of course the battle shot from Khan will allow him to escape, but he has been applying a lot of pressure to Pacheco's Drogos, and without the damage amp, it's pretty hard for this Drogos to contend with the Andro.
Nice rockets here. Fire Spit needs to be ghost walked it out. 30k damage, top of the charts. Does go to Diggy Dog's King with the Luminary supplement as well, but Tenor gets slapped out of the sky when he tries to get that Tempest going.
Yeah, and I will say that there is going to be some fall off to a composition like this. Grok, again, is a very good champion when he is doing well. But on the back foot, trying to run away, trying to reestablish himself. Under pressure, he's not going to be able to withstand very much. Overpower also going to be a big factor in this game. How can they utilize that? Be something Khalil will have to show us.
We've seen a ton of Grok on console, and he does just that. He steamrolls people for the first, 10 minutes of the game. But if you can make it to those later stages,
right,
when Cauterize becomes a factor, his ultimate falls off super, super hard. And it just becomes very difficult here. Ooh. Cheeky kill. I think
he's
Alex
still dead, though.
Has nowhere to go. But down into the dirt. Nobody gets the kill credit for it, so I guess you can call that a worthwhile credit trade for
tactical value.
If we're looking at that, 3-3 for the Andro, 3-2.
Yep.
Fairly even after a snowbally first start on the offense.
Overtime here, and you got a question: are they willing to risk some ults? I think if they find a nice kill onto the Drogos, they will take a lot of pressure away. I think you're seeing now Bonker looking to be the one who may go down. A nice shoulder bash, but he's lost his defensive cooldown on the battering ram talent choice. really come into play here. It used to be a lot of Siege Shield. Even we've seen some, you know, some slug shot, but really Battering Ram I think has been the most consistent use of it for these aggro tanks.
And it's cool to see at least one character who's all 3 talents competitively viable. Drogos, once upon a time, I think was that guy. But really, it's a lot of, I guess Andrew technically now with First Cylinder getting picked up has had all 3 of his talents played in the PPL.
It's true.
So shout outs to the boy.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not a lot. Definitely those are the few, at least that make it all the time. Cassie, probably your other look at that with Impulse.
Technically,
and, you know,
Niju plays
his
role.
action and all those things kind of coming into play. Big game definitely used to be the most underplayed, now most played by far. Early start here and very aggressive. There's the Tempest into the speed. And the dunk down seems a bit overkill. And in fact, Diggy Dog maybe going down here if Dosif has anything to say about it. A double kill from the big man up front.
Oh no, this is like all in from NIP, but it's working out. And it's all VP, baby. The complete flip there. Aside from losing Puleule, who's probably just like, what did I do to you people? My goodness.
Who hurt you? It's just so much aggression and so much anger piled into one man. He can't quite explain it. The Assert Dominus has been used. They don't have anything to stall out. Already the shoulder bash just to get in. The Accursion Arm is going to do a good amount of damage, and the punch will clean it up. So that's 3. NIP doing a fantastic job to make something out of nothing here. And they are going to have to hold off, but they've got backs.
I don't know, bro. Easy come, easy go, I guess. I mean, Virtus.Pro had that in the palm of their hand. They had Overpower and Dread Serpent. Overpower misses, so he will be back to a sizable amount of ultimate charge. But squandered, I think, from Virtus.Pro. They definitely had that one.
But, you know, here's the big key. It's an even fight now, slightly tilted in the favor of VP. And Alex is going to have to try to create some space. They do have to stand on that objective. There's still pressure to do it, but Alex has found 2. NIP, are you kidding me? Virtus.Pro let something beautiful slip away, and NIP are going to capture point 2.
That's what gets difficult about this comp. When it gets messy, this NIP comp is doing well. Alex can fly around the map. Bonker is super deep in the back line, pushing out. Hekate, it looked like her support. It just, when it becomes messy, these NIP players really, really start to succeed with this comp. Everywhere on the map. A lot of spread pressure as well with the shock pulses. Very good stuff.
Well, they're all excellent at 1v1ing, really. When you look at BK, Grok, you look at Androxus, messy is, something they excel in, but almost something they create. The way that they're moving, the way that they're kind of going about these individual fights is essentially creating the havoc that they're succeeding in. And it's up to Virtus.Pro to somehow stabilize this fight. That overpower missing, I'm sure they'll chalk it up to that, but this push has gotten a lot farther in about 25 seconds than it had all last round.
Yeah, that's a big thing as well, getting it going. I mean, it was basically overtime the last round when NIP actually started to make a foothold here in the Virtus.Pro base. Unfortunately, that offense falls apart pretty quickly here, but VP are not going to chase them. They're not going to put on that full court press, which has been pretty popular in the past couple of weeks on basically every map. If a team can, they will push you all the way back to your spawn.
Dashing up just to get a little bit more height angles. Forgot whether he was running some heals on that. I think he might have been, but at least maybe just repositioning. Alex here going and chasing again with Pacheco. 239 from that distance, but, you know, hit a few of them. You start to actually way into the health pool there.
Yeah, it doesn't even have the Luminary attached, but still just above 200 damage. Now he's looking for it. Pacheco's done a good job at just keeping his distance. Wow. Running a lot of ammo back, so that's how you see he's 9 bullets, so he's got so much to shoot with, but also running some sleight of hand as he's dashing around. He can continue to get more ammo put back into that gun.
Yeah, so yeah, he really has essentially 10 bullets there. And he is not running any heal. We do see that quite often, and great body block from Dosif. That was definitely hitting Hekate. And now it will force Alex away, but I think this has been an interesting pick. We did not see coming, but it's opened up this map so much for NIP.
He's chewing gum right now. I would not want to be the piece of gum getting chewed in an intense Androxus matchup like this. Like that poor piece of gum just getting slammed.
Yeah, that's just way too much gum for one piece.
How you feel when you chewing 5 gum?
As he's fragging out.
Playing Andrew like a crackhead right now.
Absolutely fragging out and doing
what his team needs, but it has resulted in a stalemate yet again. NIP have these miracle point fights. The first one pretty convincing. Second one, much less so, but they turn it around somehow. This third one, that's really going to tell us the story. Has the Grok effect wavered now?
It's been so weird. Easy come, easy go is literally the only way I know how to describe what happened in that last point fight. I don't feel like NIP really should have had a chance to come back as hard and as fast as they did with as little as they did into as much as Virtus.Pro had. That's what's throwing me off. But now it's all 5 ultimates available for VP against just 3 for NIP. The Tempest, the King Bomb, which has been a really, really fun combo. Hopefully we get to see that one again. And of course the Assert Dominance, the big Dunkaroo. Grok and BK are split. They're not going for it.
Okay, so there's the Tempest from Grok, and they're going aggressive here. Alex on the other side chasing down Pacheco. They clearly want to get rid of him, but again, Joseph shows up and puts Bittner under pressure, and now that Ghost Walk is going to be 10 seconds without a cooldown, but they're not going to push him, and this is exactly what NIP want. Look at them all clumped up in a corner. This is where you need to be. Puleole has bought some time, though, and the Dragon Punch looks devastating. It's going to hit. It finds Diggy, and so now it opens up the pressure without the Grumpy Bomb to chase down Tinner. Another Ghost Walk. He's got 10 seconds. Dread Serpent takes Alex out of the air, and Diggy, he's going to land with 400 health and keep the fight going.
How did he manage to do it? But throwing out Ule uses the strength of his back to keep this matchup going in favor of Virtus.Pro.
And stunned mid-fall, Nick, with the Maldamba. Serpent, Vex, again, making some stunner plays on the support side to help secure these kills. And it's 63%. This time the zone is much more adamant. Pacheco's going to clean up Bird. And NIP, they are in trouble, but they've done it before. Here's the Tempest to try to get back.
So much move speed, and at least it's good for that at the start of the game. And Kante has been locked down. He has knocked people out of the sky. Takes out Diggy Dog again. Can he take down the Grok? The answer is no.
Oh my God, though. In the healing totem, he did find a way to win that 1v1, but this time it is more members of Virtus.Pro left alive, and they will capture the 3rd point. NIP tried the heroics once more, and it did not pay off.
Rocking and rolling there, and you got to chalk that one up to just the control, the crowd control, the stuns, the flips, the fears, the flops. It's all good for Virtus.Pro.
Oh, nice shot.
NIP could just not get done what they wanted to do.
And Alex, I mean, he's playing Androxus about as best as you could ask in this situation with this map. A lot of long-range pressure. The only thing you might fault him for is maybe not being overly aggressive. Obviously aggressive with his accursed arms, obviously poking, but a lot of long-range fighting that he's doing on this Andro, who is definitely the most lethal when he is up close.
Yeah. He's doing a good job. I agree. He's making adjustments and kind of shifting gears.
Oh, hello.
And getting overpowered. You know, nothing really you can do about this, unfortunately. That bug gets squashed against the wall. Kate gets credit for the kill. Diggy Dog stunned out all the time. I mean, is Vex just really locking it down this hard?
Vex is popping off right now. Does he have a little bit of, I think he might have a little reload speed, either in the deft hands on the cards or in the loadout. And it doesn't look like he has it in the loadout, so just, I mean, full, without any reload speed on Maldamba, hitting these stuns as consistently as, that's a difficult task. And looks like he is standard speed there.
Looks standard, yeah. Let's look at the items.
That's impressive.
There needs to be a lot of resilience, I feel like, in the near future for NIP. The amount of lockdown, the overpower, Commander's Grab, the Dread Serpent, just the Snake Toss as well is really starting to give them trouble. Alex picks up resilience too, right as we start talking about it. But VP are not done. They might look to end the game.
Did miss the stun, but they got the kill that they were looking for. And yeah, Tinner with the Ghost Walk, there's really not much he can do. He could try to Tempest, but he's going to go down. Bird finding Pacheco, maybe the only hope. They don't have the Dragon, the AoE pressure, and at least they don't have to look up in the sky while they're fighting as Virtus.Pro have now crested this hill.
He's looking to get flipped here. Poppy Bomb is no good into that much resilience. Dragon Punch is on its way back to this fight. 94% on the overpower.
King Bomb too.
Virtus.Pro have their foot on the throat of NIP. We'll have to see if they can force any defensive ultimates.
I think if you see a Dragon Punch, you got to go into a King Bomb, right? She's going to get back on. Oh, no. It was just the wrong target, but maybe the right timing. It just, unfortunately, will not result in Virtus.Pro making that overpower count now. 2 big ultimates gone for both frontliners. Will surely be a defense here. But next round is what's going to seal the deal.
I maybe call that slightly in favor of NIP because overpowered is just such a guaranteed kill. You can throw somebody
Alex too. I mean,
off of one side. You can throw somebody into the well. There's 2 different spots on both sides of the map that are guaranteed kills for Overpower. And we saw how Assert Dominance can fail against this Virtus.Pro team. It can get Dread Serpented out, it can get Seismic Crashed, it can get stunned. There's a lot of things. You can just get flipped out of it by Khan. I mean, there's like 4 different ways to make that ultimate get no value here.
This is great play from Vex, man. He's really lining these stuns up, and it is not easy to do without some assist from the reload speed cards or deft hands. And it's a little cheaper now. He may have picked that up. We haven't taken a look at these last buys. No deft hands on his side. He's going for some more blast shields, and you can't blame him there. That is going to stop the shock pulse damage, stop the BK, and stop the Ash, which is what he'll be looking to do.
Light on the resilience. NIPs. Alex grabs level 2 of it. Bonker grabs 1, but that's pretty much all she wrote for a 15-minute climbing towards that late game set. You gotta watch this will come out.
Nick, you got to watch out here. He's going to get it for the King Bomb speed. He's going to find the kill, and I mean, that is such a good combination, and they're going to find the wipe off of that. And it's not enough to fully secure that they'll win this point fight, but it is enough to at least control it for now.
The zone is coming out here, so NIP, they want to play with the zone. Alex catches one rocket, throws it back, dashes straight up into the air, but misses basically every shot on it. Pacheco, he's coming over this mountain full HP.
Diggy hits him with a bomb from that far. Alex wasn't able to do it, and they spent a lot of the round chasing Alex, and now the Dragon Punch is here. There's nothing to do. Oh my God, Pacheco, are you kidding me? Finds the kill. Is he gonna find another one? A Dread Serpent from Vex? But the, oh my God, double kill comes out delayed thanks to the ability for Pacheco to hide around that corner, not get hit by the reversal, and Virtus.Pro now back in control.
So much value from Pacheco. He stays alive. I don't know how or why, but he manages to not only stay alive, flip it after the Dragon Punch, and get more kills. I feel like it all comes back to Alex went for a very lengthy scenic route flank, almost a very all-in flank, assuming that Pacheco would have fallen back to where he was going, but he did not, man. He charged right over the mountaintop, and Alex was left kind of looking around like, there is no one around here.
The discussion between the boys after point 3, though, round 3, heading into that final round, was really cool to see. They all gave each other a dap, and they all were talking about how do we handle this map. It seemed like they definitely executed that plan well. It's tied up 1-1 as we head back to the desk.
Thank you, guys. Game 2 in the books. Gore, I was incorrect about one thing, but correct about another. I was incorrect in that NIP is not the only undefeated team. How could I forget about Space Station? I'm wearing Luke Skywalker, the original Spaceman socks today, and I suddenly forgot. But I was right that Virtus.Pro is going to win a map, so I put my name out there, and now it's done. It's all wiped away. I got it right, and now we can forget about that.
And following up what we said after last map, where I was like, I need to see them make it 4-3 or win. When you don't have Bittner on something he's, uncomfortable on. And that was the moment. Yes, it's going to be a triple DPS. It's going to be out there. But, I mean, Diggy Dog has played Bomb King before. Bittner has played Grok before. It's never been in this exact order that, like Evan had said during the cast. This isn't something that you have in your playbook that you're prepared to go against. This is not something you've been thinking about all week. But this is still something that if you can adapt the way Virtus.Pro did during the game, you can take control of it. Because one of the hardest things to deal with, and we saw it a few times in there, is the King Bomb plus Tempest. Because it makes King Bomb... literally that ultimate runs through as a race car. It is so insanely and absurdly fast that you can't prepare for it. You don't know. It doesn't matter where you are on the map, you're going to get taken and get hit at least by it.
I loved the way. Of course you expect Pacheco to play Drogoz incredibly well, but I loved watching him play in that last game. Just felt comfortable. 110,000 damage, 10 kills. He looked great in that game. 0 healing. What are you doing? Heal for at least one of the Drogoz, just kidding. But Pacheco looked great there for Virtus.Pro, and a big reason that they won this one. So now we're all tied up here. And NIP, they still look great, but they've kind of leaned on sort of the interesting flex picks to potentially get their opponents a little off guard. And they do it again there with the triple DPS. It does go close. It's another 4-3 in the books here for us. But Virtus.Pro come out on top of this one. Do you expect maybe NIP to start to go back towards more of the standard lineups at any point, or do you think that they're happy with the way the unnormal has been going?
I think they're happy with it. I think this is not any fault of NIP at this point. I actually think this has just been the fact that Virtus.Pro is a good team, and that is something that NIP are coming to accept, I think, at this point, recognizing that, yes, we have some things that, as of right now, we've tried 2 things that are maybe more on the fringe side. It's not the standard 2 frontline, 1 support, 2 DPS, but there's still things that work. They still function the way they've had them. I'm assuming this is showing something that they've been, practicing in scrims, things like that. That they
pull it out for the first time today.
Yeah, today. Just like, you know what? Hey, Diggy, you haven't played Bomb King in a while. Why don't you go for it? No, it's something that they've kind of had in their pocket. And because of that, I heavily expect that they're going to keep doing this, and they're just going to keep playing their game.
Well, NIP is going to have a chance to play their game now on Serpent Beach, getting the map picked back after a Game 2 loss here on Serpent Beach. So Frog Isle, Ascension Peak, some interesting play styles on that map, but on those maps, excuse me. But Serpent Beach, a little bit more of the standard rotation of maps as we've seen. The Cassie, they're going to go back to that ban as well as the Makoa on the opposite side. The Barrack, that's an interesting ban. You don't see him banned out too often, but he has picked a good portion of the time, as well as the Torvald getting banned away. Now NIP are going to swoop up the Khan. So what do you see as potential reasoning behind a Barrack ban? Is that just they've been playing it so well on the opposite side, let's get rid of it, or?
I think it's not only we can play it really well, they can play it really well. If we're not going for it first, that means we're going to give it up to them. If we ban Barrack here instead of Khan, that means we get Khan, and on a map like Serpent Beach, and very much like what we saw last map, that can mean that's a free kill.
Right. Well, free kill is going to go into the ban column, and Nara Leon are going to be the first two off the board. Hecate playing the Leon in the last game to a good bit of success, looking great. He always looks really good, sort of whatever champion he plays, so expect more of the same here on the Leon. On the NIP side, they're going to get the Khan Ashe. That's a very strong frontline stack that they've drafted for themselves, as well as the Genos. So in classic NIP fashion, they kind of draft standard frontliners, but then leave two kind of question marks as far as their damage dealers go in this case. Virtus.Pro are going to be able to leave one pick kind of unsaid towards the end of the draft, but NIP haven't really played their hand yet.
And I love this starting thing for NIP just because Genos Luminary means whoever they pick, the next two is going to be boosted damage. Ashe Khan are incredibly good at not only holding down the point, but winning the fight on Serpent Beach, being able to control the high ground and the ramps as well. I'm curious, more than anything really, if Virtus.Pro, now that they have Leon, are still going to end up seeing NIP pick up a Drogoz. Like, if Drogoz for Alex on this map is so good and with a Luminary boost is going to be so, I guess, kind of like appetizing to grab, if they're still going to do it even though Hecate's on the other side with his Leon.
Yeah, there's so many options for them to go right now. The Cassie, of course, is off the board. Drogoz is around, as you said, if that's where they want to go with it. The Pip is in Bittner's back pocket as well. Maybe not as commonly played on Serpent Beach, but could work out. It's going to be another Grover here for Bittner, as well as an Eevee.
I like it.
So even when things look normal, I think this is normal though for NIP. This is normal. This is no longer fringe. I think some interesting picks for NIP is just the new normal.
Well, I like the Drogoz coming out for Virtus.Pro, and I'm going to shift back now to what you just said. This is interesting because, again, much like earlier, this could be Ferocity Grover. This is a great map for a Ferocity Grover. It could be Deep Roots, depending. It could be a Binary Star Genos if they really wanted to run it. It's not something we've really seen outside of the console league, but that's always an option. And especially with the way things have gone today from NIP, you got to keep your mind open for the options.
It's enough to make you think. It's enough to say, all right, well, which are we preparing for? We don't quite know yet off the bat. At a quick thought, would you rather see Binary Star Genos or the damage-dealing Grover?
Absolutely damage-dealing Grover. Ferocity Grover with a Luminary boost behind it would be ridiculous.
Well, Gore hopes to see it. We're tied up 1-1 here going into game number 3. Evan and Nick are your casters. Let's send it down to them.
Thanks, guys. Pretty exciting round of games we've seen, and it's starting to get a little intense between the players because they've both taken losses. They're both at the top of their game. And they both realize they can be wounded. They are not invincible. So they're going to have to give it all they got. Alex showing us what he's got on the Eevee today.
Is NIP the new VP?
The new old VP?
Yeah.
Well,
the reincarnated spirit animal of Elven Path.
You never know.
Here in the PPL.
You never know.
Long may he reign.
Yep.
Where's he going, too? He's really taking the scenic route here. Pacheco literally just barely missed times checking the angle, too.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's crazy how sometimes it works out that way.
And Alex, I think, going to have a couple of issues against Fishy. And one of the reasons is that I think Fishy's very confident in playing against an EV. He does it so often, Nick. And you know what? Virtus.Pro here on both sides, right? The interesting compositions, Nick.
Look at this fight.
I don't think he's scared, man. But Alex gets the better of him. Don't underestimate your opponents. And Fisheko pays dearly for it.
I have never seen a fight on Serpent Beach take place here. This is the point fight, by the way. This is so wonky. All the way in the back line of VP. Alex is continuing to just try and dismount and find pressure, blinking up and spinning this Drogos' head around. That's 2 now for Alex above Fisheko.
And that's the big problem. I mean, they've been able to stagger so well. One of the great starts of it, though, is that they've had Dozips on the point. Virtus.Pro has been capturing this entire time, and now it's unfortunate because NIP are going to have to turn around, but this is going to buy a little bit of time for Fisheko to get back involved. It's just too late, and he is now isolated by himself. NIP play it perfectly, and they say, fine, let's let Doe capture to about 93%, and we'll just full wipe the rest of them.
Ev, I hate to sound like a broken record, but that is a lot of pressure right there, boys, from NIP. That is 4 people up in the face. That's just the way they are playing the game right now. And they are getting in your faces with 3, if not 4 members of their composition.
Yeah, and I think really the big key is there's a lot of issues when you have a Grover going against this Drogos. I mean, not only is it hurting, and you're opening things up for Alex, but the cripples, man. I mean, you can't use your thrust when you're crippled, and it really shuts down a lot of what Wormjets tries to do.
What's a man without a thrust? A thrust bucket.
A thrust. A good man needs a good thrust. And, of course, a good dragon needs one even more, especially if he's got rocket-powered thrusters on his back instead of wings.
Bringing out the brooms here, NIP 4-0, 1-0, 0-0, and 8, 3-0, 4-0. Nobody dying just yet. Ice block. So that fire spin isn't getting any value here. Tenor almost goes down, but he pops the whirlwind, and just like that, it's a completely different story.
They're really going after Fisheko here, and it's just great play. And this is the momentum that we see they like to win with. They like to win fast, and they like to do it in style, and so far, so good. Alex popping off here on this EV, hitting some shots in the air. A little bit of an imminence pressure from Akate, some of the only we've seen all game, and it just hasn't worked out for the Leon quite yet. So far, will not work out again.
Well, Akate gets what looks like the only kill of the round. Boule is here. There's actually a ton of passive healing happening right now. With this Grover, how aggressive Tenor's playing it is always in range of the brawl, of the melee, if you will. And, you know, 3 other people are getting these little ticking heals. Doe's trapped himself in the corner just trying to stay alive.
And Alex, I mean, he's putting great pressure on Fisheko here. He knows you got to come back eventually, but he just doesn't. He just doesn't go back. He walks there, but it does shut down what Eevee likes to do, which is get that extra little bit of healing, and the rest of Virtus.Pro capitalize. Somehow, that push does not go in.
I don't know. I don't know how they do it. I guess it's just maybe Dosa being
Doe and Vex, man.
Very, very stalwart. Adamba combo. Helping him out a ton. I like what I'm seeing with this matchup, though. I mean, traditionally, a lot of Drogos or like heavy-handed projectile characters will just attempt to read the blink back, but Alex is aware of it, and he is not giving it to Fisheko.
Well, here's the thing, too. How much do they want it, Nick? We've got overpower, and it's obviously something that's going to be valuable next point, but could be really valuable here. Just get the Inara out of the fight. You just got to trust that they won't respond and be able to defend if you waste such a valuable ultimate. Tenor getting in the thick of things. He doesn't have his cooldown on his Blossom, though, but who needs it with 900 damage from that close? My goodness.
That's tough for sure here. Tenor is bringing a whole new level. NIP are changing the game 1 pick at a time. It was Barrick in weeks prior. It's Grover this time around. I'm sure they've got a Pip hidden away somewhere in this as well. I mean, every week it feels like it's just a different character.
And it is really these off supports that do damage. I mean, it's the Grok, it's the Pip last week, it's the Grover this week. And Tenor has really taken a liking to that. And NIP have seen that it works wonders for their lineup. So much damage from a support and from Alex turning around. They've got to find a way around it. Otherwise, NIP looking to storm through in Game 3 in under 10 minutes.
That's crazy, man. Only a couple kills in that round. NIP, I don't really even know what they change. Ultimates have got to save Virtus.Pro, and they've got some good ones for sure. A lot of setup with the Dread Serpent and the Seismic Crash. Great jump there from Bonker. I've never been able to do that consistently. I don't know what it is. Got to just get in bot game and figure it out.
Yep. And Bonker, he's been in plenty of games. These guys definitely grind. Good awareness of the matchup. Is Fishy spending too much time on this? Maybe he's trying to force the ice block. If he does do that, he's going to have a Dragon Punch available, but the Blink is always going to be tested. These two are literally just battling each other, and maybe that's enough.
I don't know. It's I guess kind of a wash. I don't know. It depends who wins out the fight is really what it comes down to. If an Eevee's job is to, you know, shut people down, he's effectively done that. He's also not involved anywhere elsewhere on the fight, but I think that's his end goal. I don't think that's Drogos' end goal, is to keep Eevee busy.
Exactly. I think Drogos has so much more to contribute. I mean, no Dragon Punch use, no Seismic Crash use, no Enlightenment use. I think it's a much better matchup to try and get the Leon over there. I'm saying Drogos over to the point. I think he's worried about the Grover, but Alex, a couple of great shots there. It seems like NIP just know what they're doing a little bit better than Virtus.Pro on this map.
Boy, do they ever. And Alex quickly putting himself in the conversation for top-tier Eevee player here. There's no more EU, no more NA, so all we have is the world to talk about. This guy has gotten himself into the conversation on blasters. That's kind of like his new trick that he's picked up for this season. It certainly looked good on his Bomb King. His Eevee looks even better.
And Bird trying to go deathless, essentially. Give him a perfect round here, as he has not been taken down just yet. And you're never going to win a game when the enemy healer essentially never dies, or literally never dies. And that's what Bird plans on doing, as they have a minute and 30. Push this one in, get one more point, and send it to game 4.
What a convincing game.
Very.
It almost feels like this is the type of game when you're just constantly having to worry about this Eevee or this Grover chunking you, that like if you're Pacheco, you're tilting a little bit. You're just like getting frustrated at this point. I know I certainly would be. And 1:13 left on the clock. NIP do not look like they need all of it. Last chance for VP to stabilize.
Interesting. Who does he go for? He gets Diggy. He trades, but I feel like that's the big key for them. Uli seems like he might make it out. Doesn't have a shield cooldown. Tenor finds a kill there. Overpower. That should be it.
He canceled that and said, nah, man, I'm trying to get back to you.
Yeah, that should be it. And that's going to be the game. Wow, what a victory for NIP. Storming through, take game 3 in under 10 minutes. Virtus.Pro left stunned, as well as most of us watching.
It's the spice, but it's not the same spice. It's a little paprika, a little cayenne pepper this game, a little nutmeg in game 3. It's like you don't know what's really coming from this NIP squad. It's too versatile.
Well, let's send it back to the desk. That was a quick one, and get ready for game 4. Little paprika, little cayenne pepper. That's all NIP needed to find the win here in game number 3. That's the least contentious game we've seen all day, Gore. That was a clean 4-0 for NIP.
It was 4-3, 4-3, now 4-0. And honestly, I think the biggest difference comes down to the guy you see kind of on your screen. Bittner has been making a huge difference. And honestly, roll back to map 1. He grabs Ferocity Grover and does pretty decent damage, but it's not this, oh, we're going to talk about it forever. It's just like, cool, they've obviously brought in something new. Is it going to continue working for them? They didn't have Genos that game. This game they had Genos, and it made such a world of difference. The amount of damage he was able to output when he had that Luminary boost on top of it just became ridiculous. And then on top of that, these axes, they're pretty big. And when they are as large as they are, you can hit most of them, not necessarily from long away, but Drogos becomes a little bit of an easier target. Like Hecate is a little easier to maybe lock down over range. They're still difficult because they take forever to fly across the map. But if you lock in like this, I mean, just look at how much damage you can do.
Oh, my. You know, I always talk about how the Grover axe is my least favorite thing to get hit by, because I feel like even though they're so slow moving, I always find a way to step right into it. So seeing damage Grover kind of coming into the meta here, at least for NIP, really makes me sad, because that means I'm going to be catching a lot more Grover axes to the face whenever it is that I play. 7-1 on the Grover, 9-1 on the Eevee. Undying is Bird. You have to talk about that as well. A 28 streaking Genos. Evan said it pretty well. It's going to be hard to win when you don't kill the enemy healer, and that's exactly what happened in this game. So NIP kind of continue with their spiciness, and I think that it works a lot better than it did in game 1. What's the answer for Virtus.Pro here?
Honestly, you have to figure out what you're locking down. I mean, looking at the slash lines, the one that stands out the most is Pacheco's 1-10 on this Drogos. And not only that, but a lot of those deaths were to Alex. Like a matchup that maybe you don't win all the time, but you shouldn't be losing to as consistently as it was. Like, Alex was playing incredibly well. His EV was on point this entire game, and there were just several moments where Drogoz is getting locked down. Fisheko had no choice but to pay attention to this EV and to watch it. And when you had moments like that, it just lets Bonker run free. Like, I mean, this is a lot of hit scan damage that you just aren't accounting for at this point because you're so worried about a Grover and an
That's
Eevee.
true. It's like the least weird member of the NIP lineup ends up being the one to clean up these double and triple kills in all of these fights. NIP, Bonker, all of them, top to bottom, playing their team comp the way that they had it drawn up. Makes you wonder if maybe on the opposite side you consider throwing something interesting back at NIP. Do you think at some point they maybe start to say, all right, we'll throw a triple DPS, triple tank, we'll take away the Grover as well? I mean, do you think the coaches always preach, you know, we're going to worry about our game, we're going to play our game, but at some point you have to consider the game that's being played against you. I mean, 4-3, 4-3, those could have gone either way. VP did win one, but a 4-0, I mean, that's just, we didn't know how to play against this team comp on this map, or it just worked out against us at this point.
And I think that's the thing. Right now, NIP are changing the game. They're changing the way things are played. They're picking up things that we haven't seen in a while. They are, I want to say, the only team in my mind right now that are ahead of Virtus.Pro in terms of what they're willing to try out. The weird picks that they're able to bring in. Like, 9 times out of 10, a team is not going to look at a Grover, a Ferocity Grover, for multitudes of reasons, but admittedly just because that's not what you play. If you play Grover, you have to go for healing. And that's why I think it's very important to look at teams like NIP, especially right now with the success coming off of it, and saying any talent, any champion in this game is viable.
It's fair game.
You just have to figure out how to make it work. Virtus.Pro have definitely been a team that does that as well.
I agree.
And so I think that they are probably the best team to counter Virtus.Pro in trying to get that done.
Well, Khan is going to be the first one to start things off. Looking at some of the blastery types that we see on this map, Drogoz, combustible Drogoz, sometimes getting picked up here. But the Pip as well. We haven't seen the Bittner Pip come out yet today. But Pip seems to be a favorite pick here on Ice Mines for some teams, so maybe not going to be too surprised if we finally see him make his way through. Khan is going to be number 1 off the board again for Virtus.Pro. Number 1 off the board again pick-wise. Last game going over to NIP. This game, Virtus.Pro is going to steal it away. Genos is well now off the board.
Just going to throw it out there. Khan has only been banned in that very, very first game.
And world-renowned skill.
Since then, he's won all of his games. And that doesn't necessarily mean much about him particularly, but just in this set, that's why he is so prioritized. If you don't ban the Ruckus there, first off, then Diggy Dog's going to grab that. And if you grab Ruckus and don't ban Khan, then you're just giving another thing to NIP that they are very comfortable with. I think especially on Ice Mines for the point fight, Khan is very, very, very good to get rid of.
Definitely.
Just one front line for free. If they grab Ash here for NIP, that just means you don't have to deal with that for that entire fight.
Off the map you go. Genos, Pip, Barrack, 1 through 3 here for NIP, so the Pip does end up coming through, but at this point, after seeing what Bittner did on the Pip the last time he played it, you have to assume that teams have started to kind of practice and prepare and see which way they try to deal with it in this case. Ash and Barrack going to be the frontliners for NIP. Khan, Leon, and Nara going to be the first 3 for VP. Be able to round out their lineup here. Damage dealer and a healer is kind of where they're looking. I like the Bomb King here as well to counteract some of the damage that's coming in on them.
This is probably the balancing point. Fisheko, I mean, 1 in 10 on Drogo's last map, so not exactly where you would want him. Put him somewhere he's comfortable. Drogo's can work on Ice Mines. We've seen some teams pull it out, but I like Bomb King a lot more, especially when you're going into a boxing match maybe with a Pip as far as blasters go. That's where you're going to be looking to try and win, and you can out-damage him and then apply more of that damage to, say, Barrack and Ash.
Well, Zen it is. 5 up, 5 down for teams 1 and 2. Genos, though, going the way of NIP. You get the Zen as well. Which lineup do you like here, Gore?
Honestly, I think it's coming in very, very close, but I'd say probably 51-49 to NIP. I think that
the democratic way of putting it.
Pip is giving them just that edge up, right? It's that evil mojo where if it hits as many times as we've seen it hit in the past, especially when Bittner's piloting Pip, then that means it's going to demolish Virtus.Pro. But Bomb King, Leon, Khan, all of this that they have on Virtus.Pro, are perfect for Ice Mines.
That's true. It's kind of the question mark. Like, it really depends. Like, a great Evil Mojo, regardless of how behind your team is. I mean, I should say that. Take it with a grain of salt. But your team can be behind, and then a great Evil Mojo can flip it on its head. So that's kind of where some of the contention comes away. In Virtus.Pro, looking good, feeling good. Down one game here, though. NIP trying to take game number 4. We're going to head to Ice Mines. We're also going to head down to your casters, Evan and Nick.
Thanks, guys. It's time to get it going. Game 4 could be where NIP really pushes this set out of Virtus.Pro's reach with another win, or Virtus.Pro will answer back now. They've got a Zen, and they've got that famous Pip from Tenor, who's going to be going up against Fishy's Bomb King. A deadly blaster battle indeed.
There is, you know, don't get it mistaken. There's no Luminary, but I feel like a ton of don't get it twisted.
Don't get it mistaken.
You heard. I mean, there's still a ton of damage on this VP lineup with the Storm of Bullets, just Bomb King at base. Hecate on really his best character. He's been a little bit inflexible this season so far, but still very, very good on Leon.
And I don't know if it's just, I mean, it just is what I love to play, what he likes to do. I mean, remember, we could barely get him off snipers for, you know, the majority of his career. And I think it's just more of, he's always succeeded in that, and sticking to what he likes to do and how he does it has been the most successful thing. Counter, I think, has been used, so that's an easy kill. This should be an easy point fight, but NIP, they're better than that. Even with 4, they are a threat. They're going to tie it up right there. A little Moxie heal. Hecate off the map. Oh, watch when you dash, buddy. Now NIP somehow turned this around.
And you had to notice in that 1v1, Alex was getting pocketed by Maldamba just to keep up with the Genos pocket, so that meant the tanks weren't getting healing, and Puluule did fall down shortly after that, so everything comes with a cost in this matchup against NIP.
I will say, great work from Doe to last that long. He actually forced Bird away and forced some of that damage off of him, which bought him a couple of extra seconds. And it's not over, that's for sure. NIP and Virtus.Pro just delivering haymakers to each other right after another. The counter's gone. Now it's forced into a billow again. So this is the same position. They got Fasheko the first kill, but he bit off more than he could chew. Can they stabilize here?
Alex versus Fasheko has been an awesome. Tenor sneaks one in, though, as Fasheko tries to leave. Evil Mojo comes out, but very, very healthy. They don't get it.
Joe has been phenomenal, Nick. He is finding these little kills on the Inara. It's just been so good, but at the end of the day, it's not even close to enough. This Pip has been dominant, and that is going to lead NIP into their first point again here on Ice Mines.
When a team gets their ultimates charged up and uses them first in these first-round point fights, they have almost a 100% win rate in my completely arbitrary statistics that I feel with my heart.
Yeah, well, those are the real statistics that are important. That's how we actually make our decisions in life, you know? Who needs actual values? Good Poppy Bomb. Whether it was intentional or not, the timing avoided anything from Bird through time and space. And on the high ground, Puluule under pressure. NIP feel pretty confident about this one, and there's the spite. That's an early kill.
They go straight through that shield. Alex gets right to Fasheko. Alex has just been dashing on Fasheko and trying to sit on him and make sure he can't do anything this entire matchup. I got to imagine it's frustrating. The first round went to Fasheko this game, but the other two have definitely gone the way of Alex here. Tenor's 4-1 on the Pip. He's been incredible. Is that that's, oh no, we played Grover twice. I was going to say nearly a different champion every game this set, and impactful on all of them.
Well, it's the same type of champion, I'll tell you that. It's that off support, that aggressive, basically utility, damage-oriented burst heal support every single time. And it's been really the key to the success of NIP. What Tenor's been able to do. Minute 9 now. He's going to dash in.
What's up, yo?
Nice knockback. Puluile's in trouble. In fact, he's dead.
It's one and the same, I guess, when Diggy Dog is dealing out the punishment there. 59 seconds. Evil Mojo is up and available. Nearly there on a couple of other critical ultimates from NIP as well. They don't really have control of this back line. And Hecate has exploited that weakness to get a kill on Alex.
And Tenor's patience is really the most excellent part of his play. His ability to maintain this high ground, not to go off unless he intends to. And when he does go off, to go into the right space to stay alive, to heal his team, to keep applying pressure. Puluile's in a rough spot here. Battle Shout just to get out. And Virtus.Pro stabilizing, but under pressure.
Couple members healing up. Very, very spread out right now. Bird just kind of getting back to the fight. Alex whirling up, trying to get involved as well. This is an awkward spot to be. You really got to be careful with how you burn your ultimates towards the end of these pushes. this is the choke point, but you can see there's still a decent amount of payload distance for it to roll to actually get to that conversion point, the finish line that they want so badly as we head in overtime.
And he's got a good angle here for maybe some knockoffs. Bonker goes into the dome shield. He's aggressive, but he loses it right there. 2 going down so fast, that should almost all but secure that this ends. Bird, he's basically not died for 2 games in a row. I know they want to find that Genos, and they will not do it. He will make it out into the next round.
Yeah, tough stuff there. It's a high-value defense for Virtus.Pro. No ultimate spent, and they get themselves a free dome shield. Now, we haven't watched any point fights with ultimates except for the Evil Mojo just yet, so this is going to be a very different looking point fight versus the one we just saw with all the base kits and things like that. Tanner does have his available off the get-go.
Nice jump.
What the? Look at that little rocket jump action, showing us the min-max capabilities of Pip.
Jeez Louise.
One of those characters, man. If you know how to weightless around and do that,
yeah.
I mean, you can really, really move.
Yeah, you really can. And got one of the more exclusive Pip skins, I would say.
Kind of cool, though. I mean, 3-year-old character.
Oh, it's a fantastic
Has
thing.
not seen any kit changes. Does basically the exact same thing as he did since his inception. But people are just now figuring out that type of movement on him.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it's been fantastic to see the evolution of it. And you have some of the more OG potential players on champions, such as Pip, such as Androxus. I mean, they've been in the game the longest. And this is a good one. Bonker, he's going to go down. Oh, battle shot the right time. Dread Serpent as well. Stops Diggy Dog. Ule trying to live. He's got a hope, a dream, and a prayer. And somehow, some high ground, but he goes for the shoulder bash, gets some damage off, but will not trade out. NIP, though, meanwhile, 93%. They've got a touch just for overtime, and they can't even get there.
That's wild to me. Alex finds 2. Doe tried to get there, but so much space created by the aggro tank, by the Pip. The Fear tried to stabilize it, but Diggy Dog was diving all the way up to where those ice cubes are, where the Bomb King is sitting right now. That's where his ultimate was planted. I thought the Dome Shield in the enemy high ground and the rafters was aggressive in the weeks prior, but my goodness, he has taken it to a whole new level today.
I mean, and another Evil Mojo. They did it right at the start of the round. And they did it again. This is just classic NIP with this Pip. And it's been devastating. No team's figured it out.
God, I wish the Na'Vi Nip matchup was this week. Gotta wait till next week, though, unfortunately, for that one. That's going to be a good one. I think the rest of today could be good, too. I can't wait to see what Kanga's going to do against Na'Vi. Virtus.Pro have got to figure this out against NIP, though, because I feel this set's starting to really slip away.
Yeah, definitely. Last game was a really good indicator that NIP knew what they were doing on Serpent Beach, had a plan, made some adjustments, and it worked. This is also looking like they just didn't bring out this tactic until now, and it's still something that Virtus.Pro are having trouble dealing with. But what is a good sign is the defense, and that's the thing that, you know, sometimes they were not able to stop. These 4-0s aren't happening. Reminds me a lot of that.
Backdooring.
Oh, you're right. They are backdooring. It's Bonker.
Oh, no.
By himself.
Dang. If you're Tenor, is it wise to retreat that way?
I don't know.
I don't know. Does Bonker complete that?
He might have.
Does he get it done?
He was close.
Because if Dosage just continues to zone and doesn't have to wrap all the way back down that way,
No, you're right.
then maybe they wouldn't have noticed.
I don't know. Great play.
A lot of progress.
But then they've got to reset. They don't have anyone on the backside now. And it is all up to Virtus.Pro to hold. 30 seconds left.
How did he get through?
Might have had some master riding on him. I mean, it's a pretty common card. We could take a look at that, and definitely did. Bonker has that, so does Diggy and Alex. And no one on Virtus.Pro notably actually doing it, partly because NIP have about 600 more credits to work with. It's a little bit easier for them to grab and still keep on pace with these items.
Ooh, narrowly misses
Poppy
there. Poppy Bomb keeps him alive. Bannister
good
is
grab.
caught. Diggy Dog will get another chance. He'll get the ultimate off. Tenor's already killed the king.
Yeah, but that was a fantastic, I mean, attempt. It's not enough. Diggy still gets it, and maybe in a better position than he wanted. He's got the exact foothold that is going to allow him to fully out Dosibs and separate him from the rest of his team. Alex is coming in with the swings and the beautiful skin from Zen. That's going to be the push. This one's almost over.
Wowee. Well, VP managed to hold their ultimates. They will have a comeback mechanic this round. They got to find an answer for this Pip. So far, been a very, very big thorn in their side, but everyone else is playing so well. in addition to that, it's very, very difficult when the effort is just so spread out amongst all 5 players. And with that alternative angle, you could see Dosif really doesn't even get that close to the objective. He didn't even break it into the room. 74K on the Pip. You know, Alex is right in there. Tiki Dog is right in there. This is crazy stuff from NIP.
Yeah, it's a very strong performance. And really, it's about that burst kill onto the Inara with the Evil Mojo. And Resilience has been purchased, so it'll be a lot harder. He's got level 2 now. So they will not be able to count on it as much. But as long as they're all paying attention, there it is.
Gotta go.
They can't do anything off it. Immediate seismic crash. It's not going to be enough to find a kill, unfortunately.
It is. They're going to continue to box out with this, though. Diggy Dog wants the pressure. They're going to get it as well. Diggy Dog stays safe. I don't think there's anyone in range. That's a 2 for nothing for NIP. Where are these ultimates? We got to kill people.
Oh, and they're trying to stagger Pule. It's a smart move here. Pule just trying to contest as much as possible. They do have a King Bomb, but they have so much pressure here on NIP. This is smart from Fish. But you do not want to give this low ground slope. The Grumpy Bomb's going to... Oh, it's going to stun. Will this set something up? I think it's going to allow the King Bomb to go in. Does he take top? No, he's actually going to go towards Bonker. The shield's going to block off bomb number 2. Diggy Dog should die here, but no, he won't. My God, Alex is going to find the kill.
I mean, Diggy Dog has lived through so much this round. Alex will fall as well. Overpower misses. Tenor stays alive. Does that come back to haunt VP?
I don't think so. It seems like Doe is back. This is what they were looking for. They had to win big, they had to win fast, and they had to win twice because of this fast cap. And Virtus.Pro, with just a simple zone here, should be able to take this point. You never know.
Smells it out.
Billow.
He's going to try and get in there.
He
Spite.
might.
He laid everything on the line.
What a wall!
Joseph says, no, sir, not today.
I mean, that was min-max to a T from the Zen.
Man.
Alex, good job, but Joseph's just a little better. And they assert dominance as well.
Diggy almost got there. We were looking at Alex, but everything spent from Diggy Dog to try and get there as a plan B. He was able to master ride his way around a little bit, try and get all the way to that objective. But no dice this time. BP stay alive for another round and plenty of ultimates to keep this offense rolling.
Really interesting here, too. I mean, looking at that dynamic, Nick, you know, they go for the same Evil Mojo. It doesn't quite work out and find a kill. In fact, Doseps is trigger ready as well for his own CC Immunity Seismic Crash. He goes into that. Although Pacheco dies, somehow the pacing allows VP to get back in it. It's the Evil Mojo, instant kill. I mean, has that fallen off now? Do they have to come with something new?
Yeah, it's off in the way that they did it. It was almost like they didn't assess the situation. They just went. And I think a lot of credit should be given to Doseps for being ready for it and being as quick as he was. Because if they were able to manage to stun everyone, polymorph everyone in that quarter, it probably would have worked out for NIP. But because Doseps doesn't go and get CC'd, Tenor doesn't push to follow up on those chickens. He does eventually kill Doseps, but it takes a good bit longer.
Diggy's low, right? He gets the kill, but he's got to heal back up again. These fights last a little longer. Pule only stays alive, maybe longer than he should have. And all of a sudden, Virtus.Pro getting in a little rhythm. Tate getting his aim. That's not something you want. As it's been pressure, pressure, pressure. And it's a lot harder to get comfortable with your aim when you are under so much offensive pressure yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of the biggest byproducts of it is if you can get in somebody's face and make them uncomfortable, they are just going to miss more shots. That's a cold, hard fact. Even if you're Hecate, you will crack. Everyone's human. Everyone's going to make mistakes eventually. And as many of those factors as you can remove from the equation. Look at the dive coming in. Ash and Zin whirling and shoulder bashing at the same time. Hecate is dead in seconds.
And Bonker got really low, but they couldn't quite find the kill on him either. And part of it is economy, because I'm not sure how much Wrecker they've actually built up on the side of Pacheco. In fact, none. So that's why that bowling ball is literally giving him, you know, 1-2 extra shots, depending on if he hits a full connection. It's going to be a defense. But again, economy, all tilting in the favor of NIP, helping in little ways.
That's something I didn't talk about because they didn't end up winning the fight, but Bonker just rocket boots into the King Bomb to basically dive on the grenade for his team, and he took no damage. It looked like he took like a couple hundred and then instantly got a heal from Genos and topped him right back to full, so he completely neutralized that ultimate I got to be honest, I thought the game was going to end there. I really thought NIP were in the situation. I thought they had the control of the map. I thought they had everything they needed. I am very surprised that Virtus.Pro were able to fight their way back onto that point.
Well, I think you look at a couple of these factors. Round 1, Bird still hasn't died, right? They've got that. Round 2, a lot more difficult. Resilience is built up, and the awareness of the evil mojo. I mean, that's been the key. People don't know how to deal with Tinner's Pip. That's really been the key that NIP have done that no one else has. At this point, they've got to create a pace that also startles Virtus.Pro, and it's the through time and space. I like the attempt. Doesn't hit anyone, though, and the evil mojo hasn't come out either.
Slows him down. It allows NIP to kind of continue to rotate around. Look at all the map control. There it is, the chicken, and it's good. Only 2 seconds on the clock to kill that chicken, but they've managed.
But is that, is that enough? Is that all they needed? It seems like they're fine with it because the Assert Dominance now is going to try to delay that. Dosage throws the Dread Serpent, and his Resilience shrugs it off, man, and now he's got his ult again.
A lot of times it feels like that almost helps the Ashe player.
Did.
Sometimes they're like, oh man, okay. I'm down to hold on to my ult as long as he gets Doseps here, though. He looked away. Doseps rode through on the horse. Fishy's going to come rolling in.
Dinner. Oh, he's going for Bird.
No way.
That's smart. Very good play.
Doe literally rides up to the objective on the horse. Just complete failure to zone here from NIP. They collapse down the home stretch.
They actually turn around and try to fight this, and he gets the kill. The Assert Dominance doesn't come out. 40 health to his name. The Whirl is going to find it. Akate trying to duel out with Alex, but Alex gets 2 big kills, and Doseps now by himself. NIP trying to close this out and make it 3-1, but they've got to get rid of this Inara.
There it is. I think they will. I don't think she has any more cooldowns to work with. Shekko's all alone here. A couple more swings from the Flaming Sword. Alex, the last 4 kills for NIP.
Big plays.
To shut it down on Ice Mines.
Really showed up big. Alex, I mean, when you need him most, flexing onto the Eevee, flexing onto the Zen. NIP win 2 in a row, and now are 1 game away from moving forward in this set. As they get ready to go to break, take a little bit of a breather. Man, they're looking even better.
Just flexing in general. I mean, they've played so much different stuff, different comp styles, different ways they're utilizing these characters. Alex is playing Hitscan, playing Blaster. Tender's playing Grover, Grok, Pip. Doesn't matter. They have every answer.
Looking dominant as ever. Virtus.Pro trying to figure out a way around what seemed to be the unbeatable first seed here. NIP looking real good to start this one off, but as they get ready for game number 5 coming up, we're going to send it back to the desk with Gore and Dave and break down what we've seen.
Thank you, guys, and that's the big question. What is the answer from Virtus.Pro here at this point, Gore? I mean, NIP, they was really contentious to start things off. In the past 2 games just haven't really gone VP's way at all. I mean, 4-2 on Ice Mines is kind of comparable, I think, to a 4-0 on like Serpent Beach. I mean, the defense is a little easier to kind of stand your ground on Ice Mines. So, honestly, a pretty comparable game to what we saw on Serpent Beach just prior. As we look at the stats, nothing super standing out as far as it really went the way that the game made it obvious who did really well here. Alex, 18 and 7 on the Zen. Bittner made his presence felt on that Pip as well.
And that's really what it came down to for me. It was Pip being able to find some really good evil mojos, especially early on. And then Alex, as the game got progressively longer, it's one of those things that Zen and Genos is just such a stellar combo because you can run off to the side and find kills like that. Like, you can run off into areas where you shouldn't stay alive, and Zen already is going to be able to survive through those. Then you add in maybe Genos healing, add some Pip healing onto it. No matter what, he's going to be walking out of a lot of these engagements not only alive, but healthy, and potentially with a damage boost if you have Bird looking at him instead of the front lines. And because Alex just, I want to say just flipped the switch, he just got aggressive, he got in their face.
Right.
And it seemed like Virtus.Pro didn't know what to expect out of him.
And I think that kind of harkens back to, I think, what you said after, I can't remember either game 1 or game 2, but it was how does Virtus.Pro, they looked good against NIP when they were kind of, a little bit up in the air. Bittner was playing the Grover for the first time. It was after game number 1. And this time still, obviously, some interest, the Pip pick is interesting, things like that. But this is more of a traditional lineup out of NIP, and they looked great against Virtus.Pro.
I think this goes back to kind of what we were actually saying really in the pregame segment, where it's just Virtus.Pro, in my eyes, are a flexible team in their minds, but they don't quite lean towards that. Like, Hecate has been playing a lot of Leon. I wouldn't mind seeing him shift away from that, maybe go to something else that could make him feel just as comfortable but have a different impact. The thing NIP have over VP right now is the fact that they are bringing in different champions every single map. They are bringing in something that's fresh, something that's unique, and something that they can still play at that level. I mean, there's no other team that, as of right now, I have seen play Ferocity Grover, and I don't think any other team's going to pull it at the same rate.
Something you always have to look out for. But Game 4 is in the books. We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we have game number 5.
Paladins Premier League, brought to you by Skillshot, Hi-Rez, Evil Mojo, INAP, Steel Series, and Respawn.
Rated T for Teen.
Didn't even need to hit level 40.
It's dangerous to go alone. We should remain together.
All by color graphics and despair.
When we said quick, we meant it. Welcome back to the desk. Dawson's still here. Gormizer still next to me as we look forward to game number 5 here. NIP up 3-1 in the set.
Yep.
Virtus.Pro looking to bounce back a little bit here.
And admittedly for me, I'm looking towards Virtus.Pro, trying to find those very specific picks and try to deal with things like the pip that we just saw in the last map and deal with what is going to be very hard to predict strategies coming down from NIP.
And I think one of the big exciting things to look at is the street style event, the skins that are now out and available in the store. You got Ash, Sky, Maeve, and Ying. I know that you were able to sit down with a few of the designers in the patch or the update show and look at some of those, and they all look really good.
It was one of those things. Actually, one of the first skins I think where Ash isn't wearing armor. Although I think my joke at the time was that the leather jacket's kind of a form of armor. Like it's going to be something. But yeah, no, it was a nice, interesting take because it was similar to some art that Ina was doing out of Hi-Rez as well, where it was just looking at the champions as modern day, like what would they wear. My favorite was probably just Bomb King wearing a hoodie, but it was still like it was a lot of like cool concepts that I like seeing translated into the game.
No, a lot of great skins, a lot of good emotes, a lot of the effects as well. They all look really good. I really liked watching them on the update show. They're out now. Make sure you go take a look at those and grab some for yourself for your favorite champions. But looking back at our matchup here, NIP Virtus.Pro, do you think NIP are just too far ahead at this point? Do they just take it? Did they just take it here 4-1?
I think they do. Yeah. I don't want to say it that way, but I feel like they do. I think right now, especially these last 2 games, have shown that they are a little ahead of Virtus.Pro.
Yep.
And, well, a decent chunk ahead of Virtus.Pro, right? It was both of them running at the same pace for the first 2 maps. They were keeping up with each other. And then Virtus.Pro hit their limit, and they had to start going down to like a slow walk as they try to finish the marathon. And, you know, NIP can see the finish line. They're almost there. I pretty much expect them to have that kind of control this game as well.
And you look at the bigger picture, even depending on how this set turns out. But at least at the moment, I mean, you still consider Virtus.Pro one of the best teams in the league here. It's potential. There's potential that NIP is just that far ahead of everyone else. have to see how the rest of it plays out. Timber Mill, though,
Yeah.
is where we're headed. So that's interesting. That is a map, Gore. That map exists, and it's in the game, and it's actually where we're headed. The Pip is going to get banned out, so they didn't ban it. Then they had to play against it, and now they just don't want to deal with it anymore. Maybe specifically on Timber Mill, obviously losing. They have the map picked back. They're going to go back to the con, which I think is smart. He's had some good impact in this series.
You know, I am going to rescind my statement. We're going to a Game 6 because Virtus.Pro, in my eyes, and this might change as this draft goes on, but they're looking for a sniper and I think Eevee on this map to give them some comfort. Sniper for Hecate and then Eevee for Fisheko. And I think those two things in combination, especially with the con and literally just any other front line that they can put in there, preferably a barrack for them, but I don't think they're going to get it.
They're not.
Would make this a very solid map for them. In IP, though, this is not an outlandish map. You don't get to come here often. That's why I'm assuming Virtus.Pro pick it, is to try and get that leg up. But I think NIP have it in their wheelhouse.
I think they do have it in their wheelhouse, and I think they'll have a champion select here where they'll be able to formulate a composition that they'll be happy with. Virtus.Pro now on the timer. They got picks 2 and 3 coming out. Just 3 is left after Eevee gets locked in for number 2 Gore. The big brain Gore and the Strix as well.
Hey.
Just give him a trophy. The crystal ball, he pushes it under the desk with his foot, trying to keep it out of the camera shot because he knows. That's the only explanation, is that he knows. But the Eevee Strix are going to be the top 3 or top 2 with the con makes 3.
The big thing for me in this map, though, the last time Strix was picked up by Virtus.Pro, so we go back to Frog Isle, right? That's a very big pick for Bidner. Kinessa was banned, and Kinessa's not banned here, so there's still potential for a sniper-on-sniper match, which I think is going to make it a little more threatening for Virtus.Pro. Specifically for Hecate, I think his aim is a little better overall than anything you're going to see out of NIP, but that's still a threat they have to deal with.
Well, they're really liking the Grover on the side of NIP today.
Ferocity.
So it's looking like a Ferocity Grover, unless they really want to throw us through a loop and make it Binary Star. I don't expect that to happen. It shouldn't happen. Ferocity.
If we keep saying it, so there was a point, I don't know how long ago, I kept saying Ferocity Grover, even though it was never picked. If we keep saying Binary Star, sometime before this split, it will get picked up.
Willing it into existence. I'm sure it'll happen at some point. Crazier things have happened. Crazier things have been picked. At the moment, though, Maldamba not going to be one of those crazier things on the side of Virtus.Pro. Looking to wrap up their lineup, and they're going to do just that with the Fernando. So I think Virtus.Pro will be happy with the 5 that they have locked in. NIP now looking to round out their lineup as well. Another damage dealer maybe in the cards for them here. But you can't really count anything out when it comes to NIP.
It's going to be Kinessa. I don't know if it will be. I think it'd be interesting, though, to have that come through.
No.
And that
it's a buck.
Is actually way better and more interesting for everyone involved.
I think Fisheko's face kind of did like the what the heck is that? He did like wait what?
I feel like that's where that's Virtus.Pro's mentality of the last 4 games at this point, where it's just like, I'm sorry, what? What are you guys picking? What is this? What draft are you going for? Because who plays Buck? Like, admittedly, I think we've seen it twice, and I actually think, both times I think it's been Buck. If this is the second, or if it's been played twice before, like I think they're the only team I've seen really trying to run this.
I mean, both lineups on paper, I think, to me, look pretty even, depending. It really is just going to come down to how they get played. Do you kind of like one over the other?
Man, I want to bet with NIP, but it feels like it's still just too far out there, but I think they can do it.
If any team can do it,
it's them.
It's going to be NIP. They're up 3-1 here as we get into game number 5. VP trying to stave off defeat. NIP looking to lock it up. Let's send it down to Evan and Nick to take it away.
All right, thanks, guys. Pretty exciting stuff here as we head to Timber Mill. One of my favorite things about this map is you kind of never know what you're going to get. These two teams bringing in not only the sniper play with Grover and the Strix, but also just the Buck.
That's part of why I'm wondering how practiced Buck on Timber Mill is, or if it's just Timber Mill making Buck what else we got here? Well, let's look at this champion list. I guess we could do Buck. Buck seems like he could be a pretty good. I don't know how practiced this character really is, and at this point for NIP, my question is, how much can you really have learned, practice, picked up, and put in the arsenal in just a couple of weeks you had off?
Ooh. I hear you, Nick. It seems like there's a lot of challenges here for both teams, and Puglioli seems to be the one in the most pressure. There's just not enough healing going around to get him full, but look at that. As we say it, the shield bursts, but he gets back to half health. They're trying to press this out, though, as Tenor already slays Sakate.
Can we see that loadout? Is he running like
20%,
right? Distance? This is a slightly different loadout than what we saw on Frog Isle.
You are right.
Tennor's going to get it going there. Don't play a ton of Grover these days.
Well, the difference is the Verdant Expanse, the range of that with 50%. He didn't have that as high, and he's taken a point out into Unstoppable as well. Out of that, he used to have that 24%, but it's just because Timberwolf is such a big map, you know, and these are little min-max things. If you do want to improve in Paladins, you've been a long-time player, these are the things that matter, you know, map-dependent loadouts.
Here it is, Whirlwind coming out very early, 2 minutes on the clock, 40 and change% of ahead of most of the people, and then soaring across the map. Akate's still able to track him down, but it's too late. NIP have already got what they came for.
Pretty awesome stuff here from NIP. Today, they just look a class above the rest. And it's really more of the ability to succeed given the variety of stuff that they played.
Yeah.
It's pretty marvelous.
It's crazy, and it feels like Virtus.Pro has drafted almost the same thing basically every game. So it's like NIP, at this point, have got to have it more figured out than they ever have at this point in the set. They've played against roughly the same composition, whereas Virtus.Pro have had to answer multiple different questions every single time going into game. The champions are never the same. The style is still very, very aggressive, so they don't have a lot of time. And it flusters your communication, it flusters your shot. It's a lot of things that sort of weigh on you when you're being played this aggressively.
Man, and they are heavily down for the word aggressive in their play. And in every single instance of movement for them, Sheko getting crippled out. I mean, that's another thing Tenor's brought that shut down a lot of what Sheko showed is one of the keys he can bring to the table, which is that Drogoz and that Eevee both relying on flank movement. And the Grover, the cripple, if he can hit it, it really shuts that down. And Alex as well showing his flexibility, really being the highlight for me. Trying to go for the hip fire and misses!
Oh my goodness, a dome shield drop as well. Alex can play around this now to stay alive and purely block. I thought it was Alex that got that kill, but it was Bonker.
It was Diggy.
Land the fatal blow.
Bonker, yeah.
Thought he just blind hip fired him and killed him. That would have been super. Because, you know, Flashbang doesn't prevent you from doing damage. No. You just can't see anything.
I mean, by proxy, right? I mean, hopefully it does if you just can't see anything, but you're right. These guys don't even need to see. They've got a sixth sense. It's 1-0, and let's be honest, there's been no contest in this one for quite a bit, as NIP seem to have figured out the Virtus.Pro code and are putting that to the test here as they 2-0 in about 4 minutes on Timber Mill.
And Ice Mine's less so, but Timber Mill feels like the new Ice Mines where you're really starting to kind of scramble a little bit and you don't really know how else to slow down this freight train coming at us. So many games of Ice Mines have been played, which is why I say I don't really feel like it applies super heavily there anymore. But NIP feels like the way that they play and just the variety and the versatility that they can draft and execute with, apparently. It's almost like they're benefiting from playing these wonky maps.
Oh, man. And, I mean, every single game since game 1, I think Bird's got Genos as well. That's also been something we saw Vex succeed with quite heavily. And it's been one of the things that really propel Grover into Ferocity being a very viable talent. That talent was probably the most viable thing for Grover a couple seasons back in ranked, but because it got nerfed on its scaling. And unfortunately, Luminary gives it right back.
It is, but deleted Bonker taking a lot of damage there. I don't know how he got exploded as fast as he did.
He got out.
Alex stays alive. They are dumping ultimates into him, but he's just getting bailed out time after time after time.
Are you kidding me?
That's
Overpower
tough,
into a Dread Serpent, and the man still lives? Wow.
I don't know.
That's buck for you.
What can you say? He doesn't give a buck.
He doesn't give a buck. And he is going buck wild, that's for sure. The ultimate just took place, and he has these corners nice and cornered. And if you haven't seen Buck in a while in this season, he's not really the most meta champion, but trust me, if you blink, he could become one.
Is this the first Buck we've seen in the PPL?
I think we've seen one other.
Overtime.
Very first.
First Premier League buck here coming out from Mr. Alex, confirmed by our production overlords in the backside. 2 for 1, though. Still not out of it yet. Virtus.Pro have a way to succeed, and his name is Akate.
Wow, and so Virtus.Pro, despite all that, we have this narrative of the buck going on. Meanwhile, on the point, we're trying to remember if we've seen him before. Virtus.Pro just say, let us grab this real quick, and how much of this is really, truly winning that fight, taking advantage of that little advantage that they have on the point. We'll have to wait and see. Fishy, though, on a 6 streak.
Bonker's gotten exploded the very first life he lived, and then a lot of pressure. So a big thing of it is that, yes, Alex lived a lot, but he never got to Akate. They never shut him down. First thing they did in round number 1 was obliterate Pule and get a big rotation from Tenor and put some pressure on that backline. This is just not the case this time around, though. Akate's been allowed to free fire, and though he's only played 2 champions this set, he has been very good on those 2 champions.
And one of the things we've also seen, Nick, with that overpower is how much it missed last round and last game, because it was very difficult targets. A moving Pip, a Barrack who's, you know, in and out with his rocket boots. At this point in time, overpowering the Inara has got to be the easiest thing that you can overpower in this game. So having a strong target for that is going to help set up Pule. Akate goes into the stealth, waiting just to heal up, gets a good 1,200 damage shot. They're trying to push this one in, but they've got to get rid of Diggy Dog. He is behind, excuse me, Bonker, I believe. He is behind the payload. They can't shoot him.
The biggest tactical advantage here. You're right, it is Diggy Dog there on the Barrack.
Oh, that's right.
And he gets to kind of eventually go down there. Flame Lance cleaves and has a very, very big hitbox as it goes over the cart, just a hair. 2 for 2 here on the objective.
Nice shot.
Defender's advantage as they reinforce quickly and getting kills just as fast. I mean, this is trade after trade after trade after trade, back and forth, blue and red either way.
And I mean, Pule trying to stay alive, which is important.
God bless his heart.
But Bonker, I mean, about to go down, just could not fully fall. Akate holding down this choke. That payload defense, man.
Close.
Very, very close.
For some big axes across the way, but Akate is just on the mark here. I believe Grover does have throw, like in-air inaccuracy, so if he has to throw to jump peak, it's not going to be effective. Whereas Akate can do that and will do that. All these little saw blades on anything like that. Frog Isle, he'll do that. 5 seconds on the clock here. Virtus.Pro is ready for the attempt.
And just holding off so many good chokes. But Pule with a good kill on the Diggy Dog early. That's a lot of pressure. And at this point, I feel like a lot of the damage needs to be going on to Alex. And Pule, he realizes that, wants to get this guy out. They are trying to hold off where Tenor can play. And Virtus.Pro, meanwhile, sneak it in. So just like they captured, feels like they pushed.
Yeah, just as Bonker goes down, and Timbermill is kind of unique in that, like, the place you're pushing from to try and get it across the finish line is very good. It's tactic, it's high ground, there's cover, and the defenders don't really have that luxury. They have that little saw blade, and then that's pretty much it. Everywhere else, they're retreating down a ramp into a trench with no cover. Away from the conversion point. The spawn doors are extremely far away relative to the capture point, to where you're looking at other maps. You basically come out and you're ready to contest. Like a Frozen Guard, you literally leave the door and you're there.
That's true. I mean, it's one of the reasons why this map is pretty much hated by a lot of the players who play on it at a high level. They've gotten better with it in time, but it really does have that notorious, oh god, Timbermill kind of feeling to it, because you can't get caught out. You can be put in such a bad position so quickly.
We'll say you love it or you hate it.
You love it or you hate it.
I don't know anyone.
And I don't know exactly.
Oh, no!
But I know who loves that. Bird catches Vasheko in the animation lock of the Ice Storm. And he gets eaten alive with a through time and space.
This is full transcendence. This is that meme picture where the guy is sitting on his own brain.
Yep.
It's so big. Bird just saw the blink coming, and I'm not taking any other opinions on the matter.
And neither will Bird. He's not available for comment. Dread Serpent, though, maybe getting something done. Instant recovery.
Come on, man.
Instant pull. Overpowered. But what you going to do? You could throw him. He doesn't have to jump anymore.
No
maybe he
damage.
forgot that he didn't have the cooldown because he had just used it. But Oh, man, that would have been a kill if he threw him into the water.
Everybody's dead there. Nobody can kill Alex.
Oh, no.
Who has just been a big problem. Everything about this Buck loadout has been nerfed. It's less damage reduction from the loadout cards, but it's still the same essence. It's still increased healing below a threshold. It's still damage reduction, just not as much as it once was.
And he's pairing it with 2 healers, not just 1. So maybe he loses 50% efficacy, but he gains twice the amount of healing that he would have had beforehand. So it's all working out pretty nicely for Alex. 2 minutes on the clock. NIP looking to close out the game and close out the set here in the lead. And Virtus.Pro fighting for their lives. Bonker over on the Inara still steadily applying pressure. Diggy Dog here caught out and actually going down thanks to Pacheco.
If history tells us anything, this payload will find its way home, and NIP will be able to end this set. Virtus.Pro have got to do what's never been done before. What if comeback mechanic also made the payload move faster?
Oh, man.
As if we needed more strength.
I mean, that would then be called the win mechanic, I think. You know, you have to do something like that.
And the defenders can't contest it. It just goes.
It just goes in.
Like that big, the big Minotaur monster in Smite Arena. If the offense is there, it just walks.
It
doesn't
just
care.
walks. I mean, some of those mechanics really do make a game feel contested, especially if you're just trying to log on for a few. But, you know, it can be so interesting, and players are probably better off being very aware of it, like I'm sure all the viewers are at this point, and either playing around it or at least acknowledging its presence, because it does make a big difference. 55 now. NIP running out of time here. It's a very advanced hold from Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, they're doing a good job making sure that they get as close to what a full court press would look like on Timbermill. Sheko just links up to the high ground and looks for a little bit more pressure. Maybe looking to finally flip this around and get this Grover out of here. Has been such a pain in his butt all series long. 30 seconds on the clock. Rock solid defense here from Virtus.Pro. NIP aren't even near the payload to start the contest.
I don't know. Oh, luckily there's some pressure here. You got to really watch out. I mean, I think Fishy's really been dealt with well, and maybe it's because of the old teammates there, Tenor and Fish kind of knowing each other and having some secret inside info. Maybe it's just the fact that they've been watching a lot of Virtus.Pro on their time off and being able to showcase it. Man, we know what to do to isolate these guys, put them in a bad spot, but this Eevee, this Drogos, it has been under maybe more pressure than usual.
Ooh, one more shot. It always feels like one more shot, but
never kill her.
Lasts just a little bit longer than you think she would. Alex gets the trade, though. Akate goes down 1-for-1, 4v4 right now on the objective in overtime. Make it 4v3.
That's a big kill. They're very, very low now, but the core, that's going to change things. Can't overcommit here. What a shot from Alex. Top of the dome, finishes him off, shuts down the defense right now. Ults could start having to be used. They stalled out a long time, and Akate has the sniper's angle. And so I expect you to see maybe Alex start to feel some of that pressure sooner than later, but Grover has a good angle himself, misses the vine up top. And man, seems like there's something going on, so they got to get that figured out. Ooh.
Well, honestly, I don't know what the cause of the pause is, but I know it could benefit NIP here. They have a lot of time to figure out how they want to set up and all the different ways that they could orchestrate this offense.
I know.
Every ultimate is available in this game right now, so it is a bit of a risk if you want to start spending things. The defense has everything to answer. Or maybe like when you look at Ice Mines, they were able to get some of these defenses. Like, we spend a dome shield, we don't spend anything, and we get this defense. So that's a situation you don't want to get yourself in.
It does feel like this could work out well for NIP. At this point, you really need to be careful. Virtus.Pro, do not let this slip if you want to send this to another point. NIP look poised to strike.
There's a hair out of place, Evan.
Oh,
look at it.
And there it is. That's what the technical pause was for. Need to get the hair back in. The gel is being delivered as we speak. Cooper is running in the halls.
I mean, this is game day, Alex. You got to take this seriously. How could you let a hair be out of place like that?
I'm glad I don't know who sponsors him and his hair gel, because I'm not buying it.
It's
at that point
definitely revoked.
Oof.
That's a sponsorship shield down the drain if I've ever seen.
That's no hot sauce sponsorship. I'll tell you that.
No, this is one you don't want to lose. It looks like we're about to get back in. The headsets are going back on. Headshots are ringing, and the bells are singing.
And this is overtime at its finest. I don't know if in a few more seconds Bonker can step away for maybe half a second without that overtime expiring. So they have to keep the Inara there. And they're going for it. Seismic crash, but it whiffs. And it hits the sawmill. What will that mean for the next round?
There it is. Overtime still going. Dome shield
They're
planted.
going in.
NIP want it all. They grab themselves a Grover and get the kill.
I mean, they got Tenor, and they do have kills following. They're gonna defend here unless something crazy happens. Alex goes down. Inara is still on the point. You gotta be careful. Big shots from Fasheko, though, and it's a defense. I don't think anyone came out on top. I mean, they have the whirlwind from NIP, but everyone used everything aside from that.
Just trying to keep the game going. And if you look at the way that first round went when there was no ultimates in play, then you have to say, well, NIP definitely had the upper hand in that case and scenario. What have Virtus.Pro learned at this point? What are they going to change so that doesn't happen again with no ultimates except for Whirlwind, which, albeit very late game, can just easily be shut down by Cauterize. There is a chance that Whirlwind gets absolutely no impact whatsoever.
Very true. It actually could, because his biggest impact, I think, has been offensive pressure. That is really it. Or Whirlwind in a dome shield, where they've been so good at using, because that blocks off the potential to get Cauterize applied to you.
That's good healing from Tenor, for sure. But you got to combine both those
Damn
numbers
good
to
healing,
keep
brother.
up with Vex. The Damba and R combination has been something that Virtus.Pro have wanted to lean on all day. They have 3 rejuvenates as well, and here it comes, the only ultimate available in the final round.
You're right, Nick. That barely got any value. He canceled that almost immediately.
It's almost like he used it just to get across.
Yeah,
This is the only way I live.
No, you're actually right. I think he might have thought that as well, just to keep Bonker up. Uli has command here, but he's got to build up his ult. These turrets are actually doing a little bit more damage than he wants. He's going to drop down, and he's still got pressure on the shield. This is Diggy Dog's time to make a big play. He's been so good on this barrack, but no one has fallen just yet.
A lot of damage on Ule. Alex is baiting out a lot of people's eyes right now. People are looking at him, trying to take him down.
VP at 81.
Big slow, yeah, a lot of progress gained for VP, certainly. NIP just now getting themselves back onto the objective.
Oh, and Seismic Crash. It doesn't matter, Nick. Kakate got Bird. Somehow he found the angle and got Bird. Bird's been so good at surviving Akate. He finds Bonker, Fasheko. He finds another, and Virtus.Pro. Keep it going. Akate up in arms. Excited that this set is not over just yet.
Yeah, and Fasheko never really looking shaken, but I gotta say, after that defense, Vex is smiling and giving fist bumps out. It's almost like they thought they had that game already won. I don't know what it was they thought they learned or what they could do, but they knew with no ultimates online, they're feeling extremely good about their chances.
And ultimates whiffing, and again, and Akate finds some big shots. NIP clearly dominant in that game, but something fell through, and we're still here. So let's send it back to the desk and get ready for Game 6.
Thank you, guys, and we are still here. VP, Gore, your predictions keep coming true. You said we were going to a Game 6. We're at least going to a Game 6 in this case. Virtus.Pro, seemingly against the odds, flip Timbermill on its head and find themselves a win here.
I mean, with the way things have been going, I think, honestly, that game, if you go into that last round, 5 ults, NIP win. I think that is the genuine difference, I think, is that push. NIP did something that they haven't done all set, and something I don't think I've actually seen them do. They got really greedy. They saw in overtime, they saw the end of the tunnel, and they said, I think, they made the decision, we can do this. They dropped almost every single one of their ults, and they didn't get the push that they needed. And because of that, they go into the next round without any of the tools that make them successful.
They had the whirlwind, but Bittner really just used it to kind of cross the freeway there. So essentially no ultimates up really for either team. Hecate, though, got to look at, who would have guessed it, on the side of Virtus.Pro, playing the Strix to a T, 160,000 damage, 4.0 KDA. He was a driving force on this Virtus.Pro side here and made it work on Timbermill. We were sort of the question mark was like, how is the Buck going to work if he's potentially flanking the Strix? And if he eats too many of those Grover axes, he's just going to drop anyway. He played his positioning well, I think, Gore, and was a big reason that Virtus.Pro won.
And I think there's a very big chunk of their success,
I love hearing that.
especially in that last point.
Yep.
Which is, where's Alex? And the answer is just not on Strix. Like, he's not pushing him out. He's not causing a lot of pressure for Hecate. And that's because he didn't have the Buck Wild in his ult. And admittedly, he's been focused down every single round. Virtus.Pro put more and more pressure onto him. They tried to keep him as locked down as possible. And that was like, I mean, even a point we saw an overpower into a Dread Serpent with a flashbang, and Buck still walked out of it alive. Like, they wanted him dead as much as possible. And that's something to say, I think, out of NIP, not only having a ton of history in the game, so being able to pull Buck out, maybe watching a little bit of the minor league to see the fact that he can still accomplish a lot if he's in the right hands. Unfortunately there, it just came down to the one round whether or not he could push as hard as he'd wanted to or not. Yeah,
and I mean, obviously, Alex won't be thrilled with how it, but Buck certainly wasn't I don't think, the weak point in that NIP lineup. I mean, he did what Buck is supposed to do. He flanked and kept himself alive through a lot of ultimates from the opposite team. So Buck at least showing that he has a place in this meta if the team composition is right around him. But the interesting thing to look at now, though, is for the first time in 2 or 3 maps, now NIP are the ones on the map pick, so they'll be the ones really in the driving force here, and they'll be able to show us what direction they want to go. It's going to be Frozen Guard. So we saw Ice Mines. We're getting the other icy map here, map number 6 to Frozen Guard. What kind of play styles do you look to potentially thrive here on a map like Frozen Guard?
Honestly, if they can keep getting it, I expect for NIP here to probably go for like a Genos Zen, but flanks can be very large depending on the flank. I think Eevee can do well here. I think Zen can do well here. We've even seen Skye do well here, not in the Premier League, but just across all our leagues, but she's way more fringe, and even though we've gotten some fringe picks, I don't think we're going to go that far yet. But I'm curious, Leon, snipers have been big here, but I think this one is won more or less really by the front lines and maybe a blaster on your side.
Well, if that's the case, NIP will be happy to have grabbed Ashe off the bat. Virtus.Pro now with 2 picks in their back pocket. The Khan the Cassie are taken off the board, as well as Torvald Makoa. So the Barrack is still around. He's been banned out, I think, just once in this series, but shown to be a pretty contentious pick as far as the drafting phase goes. So would not be surprised to see him come out here. I would be more surprised if he just didn't come out at all, but I doubt that's going to happen. Leon, Genos, the hovers here for Virtus.Pro. It would be a good 1-2 stack to start off this draft. Get him some range, get him some damage boost as well. And they do that. So now NIP are in the driver's seat as far as, do we pick the Barrack? We have the Inara as well. I mean, if they choose to go frontline here, they could get themselves something scary to deal with.
I mean, there's a lot I think that they could
still
break
wide
down.
Open.
Being able to take away the Genos, I actually think is probably one of the biggest things that Virtus.Pro has done. Because Bird's been very comfortable on that. He's been almost undying on that. Like, being able to pull that away, just the rug out of under their feet, means that they're going to have to reach a little further down their pocket. Unfortunately, it's Bird, which means it's not really going to change too much. He's been able to play Ying successfully. And while, I wouldn't be too upset if I saw Ying here. I was going to say I don't expect to see it, but I kind of do now at this point. Now that I've said it out loud, I like the pick.
Ying with the flashy street-style skin. I don't know if that's open and competitive just
yet.
Don't
think they have it just yet.
Not just yet. The Barrack, though, as we said, is going to come through here for NIP. Still looking for a couple frontliners here, Virtus.Pro, as well as potentially another damage dealer, if that's what their draft has in the cards. They get the Eevee, though, on the side of NIP. I know that's something you said would potentially be one of the more, not necessarily interesting, but kind of one of the contended picks here on this map.
Welcome here.
I like Eevee. You get the Inara Fernando as well on the opposite side for Virtus.Pro. So despite not picking frontline early on, they still get 2 of the better frontliners to round out their point fight.
There it is.
The Ruckus, I didn't even realize that the Ruckus wasn't banned out, wasn't picked up yet. Would this be the first Ruckus today, I think, right?
The first Ruckus, and I mean, he's been banned 3 times this set. That's the thing, is like he's been
it's going to be a Victor
incredibly highly valued by Virtus.Pro as a ban to take away from NIP. And I'm kind of split. I like seeing NIP go away from it. I feel like triple frontline works on a couple of maps, and this is one of them, but it's a little more difficult to pull off on this map. And I think Victor fills a similar role, but maybe a little better because of the way the map is laid out.
So you're liking the Victor pick over the Ruckus, the Zen as well, commonly paired with the Genos, so I would be happy to see that come out, I think. And I think that's what Virtus.Pro needs here. I mean, they have a Barik and an Ashe to get through, as well as a Damba, who's one of the better healers. They need that boosted damage, I think, to come through. So I like what I see here out of Virtus.Pro. I'm assuming you like what you see there as well. Who do you give it to off the board?
Honestly, looking down at it, I feel like Zen can be very good. Zen Genos Leon is incredibly good. But I think NIP just get too many comfort picks. I think they are very, very happy with what they've been able to draft. Ashe, Barik, Eevee alone are going to be very good. This time, yeah, you might put Bird, quote-unquote, uncomfortable since he's been on Genos this entire time. But now he's on Maldamba. Like, I think NIP still have a very solid grip on this. Virtus.Pro are going to have to go above and beyond to take this map.
Well, neither team you can really count out. When we thought it was all done and dusted, Virtus.Pro managed to fight. No, wait, no, you changed your pick. You rescinded it. That's right, because Gore knows all. He rescinded his pick and instead said Virtus.Pro was going to take Game 5, which they did, but NIP still on set point here. Virtus.Pro trying to stave it off just a little bit longer. Frozen Guard is map number 6. Evan and Nick are your casters.
Frozen Guard. Yeah, are we? Oops. No, we should have been on the same team there. My bad. No, I'm sorry. I would have man up to that one.
Remember the bush mechanics?
Oh,
I was just looking
hidden?
at that bush. And I'm like,
you want a level? You have a level 3 hidden, dude? Oh, that's insane. You're gonna sprint out of that bush 45% faster than you would have. Great value in your cards. Cauterize sucks. Yeah.
There's the cherry on top of that statement.
Yeah, there's the cherry.
Wait, the bush isn't there. That video needs to be updated.
Bush. Yeah, the bushes are gone. Bush are gone here. Map's been updated many times. Tenor.
We all are bushes in the wind.
Working the aim on an actual damage champion. As far as the classification, this is fresh for him, but it's also same old for Akate. You got to say, he's been playing Leon, most of the games today, so he's going to be warmed up, that's for sure.
Oh, he's been doing his hit scan rifles all day. Sometimes they have a scope on it. That's pretty much the only difference. 66% and climbing. Pacheco's first time on the Luminary Zin today. Let's see what he'll be able to accomplish. So far, so good, though. Virtus.Pro locking down Frozen Guard. This is an NIP map pick as well, worth noting, because they lost Timber Mill. They got to select the next map.
And notably, they gave up really the value of what I thought was what they wanted, which was this Genos, this damage amp composition. And the second they lost, it goes back in the hands of Vex, who has really enjoyed it and enjoyed it last week and has still been enjoying it here. They're going to back off willingly, knowing that, they've got the retake opportunity, but ults have been built. A big one here on the right target could set things up, and he's going for it. Can't quite get Tenor, though, and that is almost a negative now for Virtus.Pro.
There it is, diving deep as well. Grenade going up over the top here. Pulele falling low, and there's a line of sight for Daze. Almost takes out that Fernando. Will be Diggy Dog when it's all said and done.
But Diggy's push is really what was so key, because he forced away Vex, and it really didn't allow him to get to Pulele in time. He had to use resources for that. Exert dominance just to stay in the contest range, and this one looks like it's going to go the way of NIP. Incredible patience and retake there.
What a flip, indeed. They knew exactly when their last... It wasn't even like a good moment to go. It was just their last moment. They had no choice. They just had to go, and it just happened to work out for them this time. NIP with a big flip on their map pick. I think they're pretty good historically on Frozen Guard, so hopefully they can show up here.
What's amazing about this is, unlike when the best good superhero versus the best worst villain fight against one another, and they're both, having the capabilities to win that fight. There's no narrative structure where at the end of the day the good guy's going to win. Both of these two teams are so lethal. At any moment in time, they wipe each other, and you just don't know. It feels like it's over. All of a sudden, everyone else is dead, and the team you thought was behind is actually leading all along. So it's been kind of hard to follow why this is happening. It really feels like it's balancing on the point of a needle.
I think that's part of what makes the league so fun to watch right now, is that it is just that competitive, where there are quite a few teams that you give them a small mistake, they will take it and they will rip it wide open and turn that into a catastrophic loss for you. That looked like a mid-flight read or something from the Stone Spear there. Wall not quite on the mark.
Little off. 14-second cooldown. Quite a bit of time. Sheko gets value, I'll say that. as his Yummy Strike does at least pressure out Diggy Dog. Now focusing his efforts on Bonker, who's been quite devastating on the Barrack today. Well, we saw Diggy Dog take control of that one for the last time as Bonker was on the Inara for Timber Mill. Back on the Barrack now as they continue this push. Good damage.
His way back to full HP, 50 seconds on the clock. Alex blinking in, been pretty quiet on the Eevee so far. He was owning on Serpent Beach, which is why I bring it up now, is that it has not been this easy or as easy this game. And there was still a Leon in that Serpent Beach game, so yeah, playing around Kate's Leon a little bit more effectively. I would say the Xin matchup is not easy to commit to like in the Drogoz is. Drogoz doesn't really have any defensive aspects in his kit, so you just kind of go on him and that's it. You can just stay on him until he kills you or you kill him.
Yeah, and you know, overcommitting, it's something that could definitely happen onto his Zen. Oh, nice shot, are you kidding me? Visheko finds 850 as Eevee soaring away, predicting the flight pattern, and waiting out the counter. Alex, unfortunately, not able to do much with that. Rather just the defensive mechanics. I mean, just swinging that hard, that 977, given the fact that he's got Luminary, it's a big deal. And the fact that he's got the healing, you know, passively. So you blink in, blink out. He's healed just as much as you have.
Been a pretty good round for the hit scan boys. Victor and Leon leading the charts here. Tanner's first time on Victor, but he's no stranger to it. Played it, I believe 2 weeks ago, last time they played here on Frozen Guard. I remember Mighty had something to say about young Tenny's Victor, and those grenades could be a little bit cleaner. Coach's commentary always worthwhile, especially on a character that he loves to play himself.
That really was what turned it, actually, I think. Because I think the Billow probably would have been available. I'm pretty sure Visheko could have stalled out that point for another 10 seconds at least with his full kit. And the Dread Serpent just allowed him to get taken down before he had a chance to press any of his buttons. That's the benefit of that fear, especially early game.
Diggy Dog saving up for Cauterize 3, notably. Almost there. Needs just another 200 credits, and he will be there. Almost a one-round Cauterize 3. Pretty crazy stuff, and the dive is not going to stop here. Barrage coming down onto Dosip's head, but he's going to stun out Young Tenor, and the beam misses.
Too late. It's just too late. Wow, I guess it works out because he spent all his time void gripping and dealing with Diggy Dog in the background, but that Dread Serpent again gets so much value, but I would expect him, not gonna go for it, maybe already used it. NIP win, they use a lot of the kit here, still have the assert dominance, which we still are trying to figure out, is that even valuable that they killed him before he could land at this point?
Yeah, he just holds on to it. A blessing in disguise, if you will. And I mean, every time that Tenor's ringing these heads, it's almost 1,000 damage per burst from that assault rifle that he's able to almost confirm off of the fear. A lot of pressure here, stuns out, poke on the Hekate, who might be under even more pressure now. Alex is feeling the heat. 99% though for NIP.
It's a really good dome shield too. And really the only thing that can contest it is maybe an Enlightenment, try to finish it off, get some of the damage, but Tenor, Alex, they're too consistent. NIP with their second in a row. This time, just a little less contested than beforehand. They seem to have control of this one all the way through, and it feels like a missed opportunity to close the set out last map on Timber Mill. It seems like they're trying to take advantage of it here.
You know, it's not uncommon to be the last guy dead on Xin, but it's almost like, is there a way we can attack more, to play more as a team and be attacking at the same time, to where, I mean, that was almost his whole kit. I don't know if he was just showing up from having died before and just had his whole kit up, but like being alive with your entire kit available, I don't know.
I mean, resilience seems to be the play. I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due, and it's been Bird who's been creating so much and adding kills onto Hekate and Visheko in each round. Crucial kills onto the DPS just because of his Dread Serpents aggressively. And so I think this is something that needs to be dealt with, needs to be prioritized, need to be ready to hit your Billow or your whatever it is, Enlightenment even. You got to find a way to get out of that.
There it is. Diggy Dog's just not stopping here. I like the little place he's nested himself up in. Contesting from these stairs will not be possible without taking some pressure from the backside barricade. And it's just, look at the aggression, man. These people are just forcing poor VP back in their spawn. They do not want to let them play the video game.
And the way they play, I mean, the way Bonker plays Barrack and just the min-max of the cooldowns and the shields and the rocket boot, it's so hard. He just lasts for so long. You have to all in him. it seems like they've done it. Puleuli getting the formidable resets, and the damage amp, it's enough. Just barely, though, to stall out NIP.
Pretty good timing here to, I think, talk about what we talked about on Timber Mill a little bit, and then we actually brought up Frozen Guard, was that look how close that spawn door is. It's so hard to take that fight. Hecate is literally bouncing in and out of spawn door, getting spawn healing every single second he feels like it. So tough stuff to be able to shut that down.
Ooh.
You have to win a very, very convincing fight to convert it here on Frozen Guard.
Sheko going to get out of there, but the Billow is no longer available, and that's a problem, especially if Alex gets hit by any of these Yomi strikes. He's pressuring out Vex, and that is meaningful damage off the board if you can force him back, even though the healing will still remain. And it seems like no one's going to remain on the point, unfortunately. It's a 3-1 lead. NIP, with this next round, can win the set against VP.
And what a war it's been here. This man has had to play a myriad of different champions, looking to quickly make himself the most flexible professional Paladins player at this junction. But I don't know if it's just because that's the way that NIP are playing. I don't know if Hecate could maybe do that, if that's the way Virtus.Pro are looking to play. But NIP have just run such different characters when it comes down to Bittner every single match.
Yeah, what's the takeaway here? I mean, I think it's like duo support.
I think you do that because you have a player that can do it. I think anybody would love to be able to do that, but there's not very many Bittners out there.
And you got to trust the value of Ferocity Grover in this meta, this is the first time we're really seeing Ferocity Grover have such a big impact in this meta. We saw the Pip last week, full effect. And obviously we know what the Victor has been able to do. This time, though, the Spite into through time and space, very strong. But both those players who took part in that combo get killed by the same player, and it's Bittner. Tinner looking to finish off Hecate. That'll happen thanks to Diggy Dog, Puleuli, and Dosups. They're going to get collapsed on. This should be, with a good zone here, NIP taking the game.
I mean, he free-fired that whole fight. Let's look at the damage charts. He has got to be just pumping at this point, pulling further and further away from Hecate. Diggy Dog's getting good pressure to make sure Hecate can't do his thing.
Wants to hit his head.
And that gap continues to get even bigger here. 54% and climbing. The zone is good, but Fasheko is starting to kind of creep up this right-hand side.
Well, I think the thing is, he's not going to stop the Inara, but she's the slow one. And he's also not going to stop Fasheko, but they know that, so why waste resources? You got to get... He doesn't have his Billow! He doesn't have the cooldown! Oh, no! Virtus.Pro at the end just barely stopped the reset. NIP will walk away with this one.
Quietly.
The war of attrition, so to speak.
Yeah.
And they stay undefeated.
There was a battle there on Frog Isle for sure. It was a battle in that first round on Frozen Guard, but it really did feel like the rest of the way NIP kind of had control of it. So much versatility, different comps. We had a 3 DPS. We had, the one tank coming out. We had 2 tanks. Never seen any 3 tanks. Almost saw it here. They hovered the Ruckus instead of the Victor, but they ended up going with Slick Vic, and he proved to be fruitful for them.
Unlucky stuff. To see a set that contested and great end in that kind of a mild fashion. A little unfortunate, but both teams knowing they gave their best and they are going to continue to improve here in the PPL. NIP stay undefeated. It's all smiles and handshakes from them. Virtus.Pro back to the drawing board to get ready for tomorrow. Up next, though, Navi and Kanga. Let's send it back to the desk and break down what we just saw.
Thank you very much, Evan. Gore, I think 4-2 is probably a fair way of looking at this set. I think a lot of them actually were pretty contested. We had a 4-0, we had a 4-2 map, but we saw a lot of 4-3s coming into this round. I think Virtus.Pro proved that they can hang with NIP, but I think NIP really showed us today that they just have some tricks up their sleeve. Honestly, you go into the draft not knowing which way they're going to go. Today's big story was the Grover, the Grover that we saw coming out last week. It was, the Pip coming out for Bittner, so nobody really has their finger on NIP just yet.
Jeez, and Bittner.
Wow, 17
Bittner's
and
good
3
at the game, guys, in
He's
case you didn't know. 17,
he's
3,
decent.
and 10. There's a reason he gets a lot of highlights, and it's just because he's so good when it comes down to it. And that's part of the reason that NIP wanted to get him on this roster. And one of the things I think that's really interesting about this is when you look at the set as a whole, right? If let's say you're Virtus.Pro right now and you need something, kind of look at, there's a reason NIP are undefeated. There's a reason this is going to be what I believe their 4th win, right? Going into this now 4-0. So looking at the way they've been going and the fact that they are just this ahead, I want to say, of the curve, like they know what is going to be happening. They're picking up things before anybody else and they're making it look damn good doing it. Virtus.Pro being able to take them to a 4-2 when the most, I think we've had 2 4-2 sets with NIP. One at the very, very beginning, the Knights took them a 4-2, and now you are the second team to do it. No one's been able to beat them, but that's an accomplishment in itself. Just being able to go more than the 4 games that it took for NIP to win, being able to kind of push them almost the full distance is impressive for you. So you know you have some legs to stand on. It's just figure out how to deal with that guy.
I mean,
lock him down.
Make no mistake about it. I mean, the way that everyone's playing right now, this will change as the season goes on, as the split continues. But make no mistake, these are 2, I would say, top 4 teams playing each other right now, and it was pretty close. I mean, game 1, it's a 4-3 in favor of NIP. If that goes the other way, then it's a game 7 that we're headed to right now. I mean, that really was on more of a knife edge than I think some of the games did it justice. So I would say, as of this moment, I mean, those are 2 top 4 teams playing each other. Yeah. There will be some movement as the season goes on. But NIP, I think you said it pretty well. I mean, they've really solidified themselves as one of the best teams, if not the best team right now playing in the PPL.
I think, and this is something they had said, where they are projected trying to get 1 to 3. They are looking for first through third. That's not guaranteed for them, but I mean, if they can keep playing at this level, I can almost say by the end of the split, they're going to be top 2. This is the team to beat. This is the team, if you are looking at your matchup tomorrow, if you're looking at matchups in the next few weeks, you have to beat NIP. And if you can do that, I think that's when you can claim yourself as one of the best teams in the league.
Sure.
They are easily the team right now that is looking to just kind of bop everybody out of their way. So the first team that can do that, I think, is going to be the first team that can potentially dethrone them from that first place spot.
And I think it's such an interesting mix, and we talked about this throughout the day, in that on one hand you have players who, well, they're really good at the game, but then on the other hand, again, we've talked about this, is they have a way of just throwing something interesting at you in the draft. So not only are you able to make the opposing team uncomfortable in the draft, you're also able to play it really, really well.
Yeah.
And, well, it's paying off for them at the moment. That's just how it's working out for them.
They're really good.
They're just really, really good at the game, our NIP. And as such, they're standing by on the interview desk. Let's send it over to them and hear their thoughts.
Wow. So I guess really, really good at the game. That's what they have is their professional analysis. Do you guys agree with that after this result?
Of course.
I mean, yeah.
I'm curious to see what you thought was the biggest, I guess, theme of that set, because it was hard to watch. There were moments where it felt like things were balancing on a knife edge, where sometimes you guys would just get fully wiped. Sometimes they would come back, fully wipe you after it's 99%. What do you think what was it like playing Virtus.Pro today?
I think it's just a matter of mentality coming into the set overall. They're coming in, they know that they're a strong team. They've beat Envy and stuff, so they're coming in with a mentality hey, we can actually win this, and we're much more hey, we will win this. This is our set. We are going to take this set. If they take a game, no big deal, but this is our set.
You guys are the top dogs, I think, for now, is what you said, Bonker. I'm still trying to figure out what this meta is. One week it's Genos, the next week it's Pip. This week it looks like it might be Grover, but you guys pulling out some Buck, a little bit of Vic. Is this something you do because of the player Tenor is, or is this something every team would do if they had a player as flexible as Tenor?
I don't think it's about the player. Of course it helps when you have Tenor who plays all of those off supports, but I think it's more that the meta is shifting. Pip was very good last week. He was good this week as well, but now you're looking to how do you counter the Pip instead, because the banning phase is looking so much different and stuff like that.
Yeah, you guys are kind of bringing it feels like something different almost every game. Is that something that you think other teams are struggling with? Because VP looked as if they ran pretty much the same draft every single game, every single map.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the teams in PPL right now are very stale. They are doing the same things over and over and over. I mean, sometimes it works, but we kind of knew what they want to do, so it was fine.
Okay, boys, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go to a quick little break, guys, but we'll be just back with set number 2 in a moment.